Tonight. Thank you for everyone joining us. We're going to go ahead and bring our meeting to order. Councilwoman Cuellar, if you would please.
Let us bow our heads. Almighty God and Father of us all, we're gathered here this evening to first of all give you thanks and praise for the many blessings that you bestow upon us, upon those who are gathered here, and upon our community of Irondale. Lord, we look to you for wisdom and guidance in decisions that we'll be making for the good of our community here in Irondale. We ask that you grant us much prudence and that we be diligent in the work that you have entrusted us and the voters have entrusted us to do. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that, ma'am. Had a moment to adjust. All right, we're going to go ahead and call to order with a roll call. Councilman London.
Present.
Perfect. Councilwoman Cuellar.
here.
Councilman Box.
Here.
Councilman Wilson.
Present.
And myself present as well. That being said, we have two sets of minutes that we need to approve. Could I go ahead and get a motion for the approval of the regular council meeting minutes from April the 7th?
Council President Spivey, I have two changes that change requests to the minutes. Under item number 8 on the approval of the agenda, it was Council Member Wilson who moved a motion to approve the unfinished business items, and it was Councilman Box that seconded the motion. And then on
One moment. On item number 8, I've got Councilmember Wilson moved a motion to approve the agenda, and it was seconded by Councilmember Box.
that's correct.
Okay.
But on the minutes, it's showing me moving the motion, and at least my copy shows that.
Is that on 4-7?
Yes, 4-7.
Oh, I see what you're saying
Under approval of the
below that where it
agenda,
says
item
motion
number
adopted.
8.
Yeah.
And then, looking at item number 11, public comment on non-agenda items. Laura Keyser, her home address is 923 Ivawood Road.
Noted. Are there any other comments about the minutes from the April 7th meeting? Do we agree with Councilwoman Cuellar's assessment?
Yes.
All right. That being said, can we have a motion for the approval of those minutes?
I'll make a motion for the approval of the amended minutes by Councilwoman Cuellar.
I'll second that.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Cuellar. All right. We now have a second set of minutes to approve from the special council meeting on April the 14th. Can we get a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes for April 14th.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Want
opposed?
to abstain.
Understood. All right. Now we come time to pay the bills. Can we have a motion for the approval of current bills for payment?
Yes, I make a motion for the approval of current bills in the amount of $257,284.39.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We find ourselves now looking for any professional or consultant reports. Do we have any professional or consultant reports? Good, thank you. Mayor, it is now your time. You have the floor.
Is the Brown and Crawford family here tonight?
Mayor,
Hey, someone move it.
I was about to say, you may want to check outside or have the chief check outside for us. Hey, Mayor.
She's here.
Yeah, hey, Mayor, just a quick comment. You know, we moved this meeting to the council chambers. We probably should have kept it where it was.
Yeah, we didn't realize we were going to have this much
Yeah, I know.
Good turn.
activity tonight.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Mayor, go ahead.
Okay.
My apologies.
Well, what I'll do, I'll go ahead and give my report, and then once I finish giving my report, I will go ahead and present Ms. Crawford with the proclamation. It's a proclamation for fallen workers where KIV has dedicated April the 28th to be for individuals that have fallen to death while working on their jobs. So we want to make sure that we honor her brother, died last year, and they are a great family that live in the city of Irondale, so we just want to make sure that we honor the Browns and Ms. Crawford as they are still going through the grieving process about the death of her brother. But I'll go ahead and give you the very quick version of the mayor's report. This Saturday will be the last Saturday that we give away food boxes. We want to thank iCare Alabama for giving us the opportunity to be able to give away almost 200 boxes of food every other Saturday. And those boxes have a value of somewhere between $40 to $50. So we'd like to thank Frank Woodson and his organization for allowing us to be able to do that. Also, Saturday, which is a very busy day, from 8 o'clock to 11:30 a.m. at the Classic Car Motoring, we're going to have the Household Hazardous Waste Drop-Off Day. Will be there. I think there's a list of things on the website that you can actually drop off, but that will be spearheaded by our Public Works Director, our City Clerk, our Food Drive Coordinator. That's Frank Pennington. He basically do a lot of things. So Frank, I just want to let you know that I'm grateful for the service that you provide. And then if you don't want to come and give away food, if you don't have anything that you want to give away with your Household Hazardous Waste Drop-Off Day, then you can go with a hike with the mayor. We're going to hike Ruffner Nature Park. We're going to meet at Ruffner Park at 10 o'clock, and if weather permits, we're going to go ahead and to be able to do that hike. It's not going to be a very challenging hike. Therefore, if you want to be able to get in some exercise, I would encourage you to participate in that as well. Also, on May 1st, we're going to officially open the parks for individuals that would like to have an events. So if you want to have events in the park after May 1st, you can contact Public Works, and they will be able to give you an application and to be able to work through that situation. We also have a certain criteria about how many people you can have and all of that, but we want to be able to start opening up the park for families and for individuals to be able to have events in the park. On June the 1st, we're going to open up the Irondale Senior Activity Center. We'll be open beginning June the 1st, and we'll also have limited activity there. But we are slowly trying to get back to do the things that we used to do, and especially since we're moving close to having 50% of the people vaccinated in the population. So I feel very confident with being able to open up some of the things in the city that we had closed during that time. Also, the Greater Irondale Exchange Club is sponsoring a Clean as a Whistle, and it actually started on the 18th, and it will end on April the 24th. It's basically the same thing as our Trash Amnesty Day. It allows you to be able to do a little spring cleaning and to be able to put out some things that you haven't been able to put out in the past. You can actually put them out during that time. Am I correct, Frank, about that? So I'm not going to promise you that everything that you put out from the 18th through the 24th is going to be picked up by the 24th. So I appreciate if you all don't go on Facebook and start saying, when are they gonna pick my stuff up? They hadn't picked my stuff up. Have they picked up your stuff? And no, they got my stuff, but they didn't get your stuff. So we ask you that you would give us at least one free week on Facebook before you all start to complain about your stuff not being picked up. And I really want to tell you, to be able to get it picked up is not the way, the comment on Facebook is not the way to be able to get it picked up. If you want to get it picked up, call Tracy Peoples in the Public Works Department at 205-951-1420. That's the quickest way to be able to get trash picked up. If your recycling does not get picked up, if your garbage doesn't get picked up, that is the quickest means to use to be able to get that done. So in the future, if you would communicate with the Public Works Department instead of communicating with with Facebook, I promise you, we will pick up your stuff. Also, on April the 26th, we're having a town hall meeting for the bike community. We realize that a lot of people bike in the city of Irondale, and we want to make sure that we become a biking-friendly city. So we're having a town hall meeting with the individuals in the biking community to be able to identify what can we do to be able to facilitate them having very good rides as they come through the city of Irondale. So if you're a biker, you want to participate in that town hall meeting, I think it's going to be virtual as well. It's going to be April the 26th at 6 o'clock. Also, May 2nd, we're having the message with the mayor. May 3rd will actually be my midterm year review. I would have been in office for 6 months. So during that message, I'm going to give a review basically of all of the things that have transpired during the last 6 months. The community individual that is going to be interviewing me is Nathaniel Rutledge, Chief Rutledge. So it should be pretty interesting. So I ask that you all will tune in, and that if there's anybody that's out there tonight that would like to interview me for one of the months, then you can get with my booking agent, which is my wife. And her phone number is 205-999-2295. She may kill me when I get home tonight, but she wanted to be the agent, so that's the job of the agent, is to be able to book people to speak. So you have to be able to call her to be able to do it. And I guess my final thing is, and this will be the first time that this is taking place in the city of Irondale, we're having a mayor's prayer breakfast. And the theme of that prayer breakfast is love, liberty, and life. I truly believe that for the city of the Irondale to prosper has nothing to do with me, but it has more of me being an instrument that is committed to being able to allow the Lord to be able to work through me, to be able to accomplish the things that need to take place here at the city of Irondale. So to confirm that, we're having a mayor's prayer breakfast at the AGC building. It starts at 7:30. We will end promptly at 9 o'clock so that everybody can get to work. We have Bill Clark, who is the football coach at UAB. He's going to be the speaker. And we're also going to have the Shades Valley High School Choir there to be able to sing some songs, to be able to get us ready to be able to hear a word from Coach Bill Clark. The ticket's going to be $20 for an individual, $250 for a table, and if you'd like to be a sponsor, it'll be $500, or if you want to give more, that's fine. And whatever funds are left over, we're going to use those funds to be able to give a couple of students that are graduating from high school that perform a lot of community service, because we know that if you make a 4.0 or 4.5, somebody's going to give you a scholarship to go to school. But what about those individuals that make a 3.0, but they're very involved in their community? So we would like to honor those students that they may not have the highest grade average, but they're very committed to their community and working in their community. And we just feel that sometimes that they get left out. So we would like to give 2 $1,000 scholarships to be able to help those individuals, to help to be able to defray their costs with school. And the last thing that I wanted to read you this morning, when I was going through my devotional, and I think that this is good not only for me, but it's also good for the rest of the council. And I was reading through the book of Nehemiah, and I was in the 13th chapter. And he said some words that were very encouraging to me as I was reading through the 13th chapter in the 31st verse. So I just want to be able to share this with you. It's not only for me, but as anybody that's in a leadership position. Because you need to know, number one, who put you there. You also need to know who's working through you while you're there. And it reads, leadership appears glorious or glamorous at times, but is often lonely, thankless, and filled with pressure to compromise values and standards. Nehemiah was able to accomplish a huge task against incredible odds because he learned that there is no success without risk of failure, no reward without hard work, no opportunity without criticism, and no true leadership without trust in God. And I just want to let everybody know today that I constantly pray every day that it's not about all of us that are here, but as long as the good Lord keeps his hands on us, keeps a hedge of protection around us, and continue to show this city favor, then we will become one of the greatest municipalities that people have ever seen in this city. So when I'm out and people ask me why are things going so well in the city of Irondale, I tell them it's not because I'm the mayor, but it's because the favor of God is resting on the city of Irondale at this time. So I just want you all to remember that when you pray every night, pray that the Lord will continue to favor the city of Irondale. I've already shared with you why I'm giving this proclamation, so Ms. Crawford, if you would come to the front, I would like for you to stand near me as I read this proclamation. We don't want to block your Facebook feed over there, so. We looking good? We looking good, all right. So I'll go ahead and start reading. Whereas every year, thousands of American workers are killed by workplace injuries and occupational diseases, and whereas thousands more are permanently disabled, and whereas concerned Americans are determined to prevent these tragedies by observing Workers' Memorial Day as a day to remember these victims of workplace injuries and diseases, and whereas renewing our efforts to seek stronger safety and health protections, better standards and enforcement, and fair and just compensation is essential to addressing these common issues. Now, therefore, be it hereby resolved that I, James D. Stewart, Jr., Mayor of the City of Irondale, do hereby proclaim April the 28th, 2021 as Workers' Memorial Day in the City of Irondale. In witness whereof, I have signed and sealed on the 21st day of April 2021.
Yes.
I would like to first say thank you. This means a lot to my family. My brother was a resident of Irondale for all of his life. And as a matter of fact, one of his favorite bus drivers, Miss Pike, while I was at Shays Valley getting into Impalas and Chevys, he was riding Miss Pike's bus and telling me how cool of a bus driver she was. And the very first time I got on her bus, it was all about the kids. And I appreciate that, even from my little sister, Ashley. But Michael, we lived here for years. And when I say small community but kept tight, I just really appreciate it, and I appreciate what you did. Thank you.
Mayor, do you mind if we get a picture? Do you mind?
Is it okay?
And does that conclude your report, Mayor?
I think I've taken enough time. Council President, yes, that concludes my report. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you, sir.
Mayor, could I get that date of the mayor's breakfast again?
It's May the 6th.
May
It's
the 6th.
actually on the National Day of Prayer.
Okay.
So May 6th, we are considering Irondale to be a place of prayer. We'd like for everybody to participate.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We find ourselves looking for any department head reports. I know we've got a few department heads with us tonight. Are there any department heads that would like to deliver a report to us this evening? Chief McDaniel, please.
I'd just like to ask for everyone to please pray for the city of Midfield Fire Department. Their chief Donald Jones, passed away today while he was at lunch. He had retired from Birmingham. He was assistant chief at Birmingham and had been at Midfield just a short time, but I just want everybody to keep Midfield and the fire department in the city in your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you, sir. Any other department heads that would like to give us a report this evening? Now we find ourselves looking for our council member reports. Councilman London, if you would like to start us off.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. First of all, good evening to everyone. I just want to say my condolences to Ms. Crawford. She's been a staple of this community for many, many, many years, her family has, and just want to say we'll really appreciate all the things that she does. But I do have a few things. One thing is exchange. This is exchange announcement. This month of April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. And if you notice out in front, there were some blue pinwheels that was planted out in front of City Hall in recognition of abused children in the city of Alabama. You know, John, I still have my blue light that I'm gonna go home tonight and I'll put it in on my porch for this month. And so for the kids in the state of Alabama, this is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Also, the Exchange Club will be giving out welcome bags to new residents of the city of Irondale. And so if any of you want to contribute to that, or if you're a business or just an individual, you can contact Sue Miles, who's sitting out on the front row there, and I'm gonna give you her number. And Sue, don't get mad at me. John told me to do this. Give your number out, but it's 205-956-8379, or you can reach out to Linda Shawn. Her number is 205-956-5875. But they are giving out, we're giving out, I'm part of the Exchange Club, giving out goodie bags to new residents. So if anyone that wants to be a part of that, you can contact myself or John or Sue or Linda for that. Amen. The next meeting will be Tuesday, April the 27th at 5:30, and it'll be held at Jubilee Ministry. If you just walk out the front door and keep walking by the police department, that's Jubilee Ministry. And our guest speaker for that day is Therese Bynum. And Therese Bynum is, y'all know Mr. Bynum and her dad, who's passed away, has been a staple to this community. And then she's a bike person. I mean, so I know she'll be at that meeting coming up on the 26th. But she'll be our guest speaker at 5:30. Good dinner, good speaker, and so we're excited about that on April 27th. And then Mel also, he's already mentioned the Clean Out the Whistle campaign, April 18th, 24th of this month. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Cuellar?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here this evening. As a City Council liaison to the Commercial Development Authority, also known as the CDA, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you to the CDA's Board of Directors and also give you a brief historical overview of the work they've been doing. And in a few minutes, the CDA's chairman will provide our council members and you with some of the projects that they've been working on over the last few months. Now, these Board of Directors are Irondale residents. They serve on a voluntary basis, and they meet for approximately 1 to 1.5 hours per month. The board meets every third Wednesday of every month at City Hall at 4 p.m., and its meetings are open to the public. The purpose of the CDA is economic development, which is to promote trade and commerce in the city of Irondale by encouraging commercial retailers and developers to locate new facilities in the city and to expand existing facilities in the city. Chairman David Pugh, please stand, is a partner in the law firm of Bradley Arant. David has extensive legal experience and specializes in construction law, which consists in advising clients at every stage of construction project, and also experience in drafting and negotiating contracts for several large-scale projects, government contracts, litigation, and international arbitration, and energy. Treasurer David Rawson has an extensive background in banking. Throughout his banking career, he has served as a branch manager, assistant vice president, and is currently serving as a mortgage lender with Trustmark Bank. Secretary Victor Childers, who can't be here tonight, is a lifelong resident of Irondale. He works for IBM and has been serving there in a number of roles over the last 17 years. Currently, he is serving as the worldwide segment leader for IBM's cybersecurity. His responsibilities include developing and implementing IBM's strategy execution, go-to-market plans, developing enablement plans, drafting contracts, and assisting in identifying new solutions that the global systems integrators can bring to the market using the Powered by IBM cybersecurity compatibility model. Victor's work responsibilities with IBM include traveling throughout the world to meet with clients. And prior to joining IBM, Victor owned and ran his own software services business for 12 years and has been in software and related technologies since 1984. Paul Saucier is a successful business owner and president of Specialty Turf Care and Landscaping located here in Irondale. He's been in business since 1992 and manages the turfs and landscapes of over 350 properties. Mark Hume, who also can't be here tonight, has been serving as a financial advisor with BCR Wealth Strategies since 2018. He is a founding partner of Clutch and Spotmine Inc., which is a software application startup focused on improving sports fans' game day experience. Now, over the last 3 years, the CDA has accomplished much and met all the requests made by our city council. For instance, in 2018, when the city council requested $200,000 to help them meet their financial obligations during the time that the city was undergoing a financial crisis and needed to pay for its bonded obligations, board members unanimously approved the city council's request, and these funds were immediately given to the city. The city council also requested an audit of the CEA's books in 2018, and the results were given to the city council, the mayor, and the city clerk in September of 2018. The CDA then approved and adopted financial conflict of interest and travel policies and procedures as a means to safeguard its assets, prudently manage its assets, and comply with generally accepted accounting principles. Additionally, during this time in 2018, the CDA worked very hard and succeeded in keeping a major employer in Irondale, whose lease on the property owned by the CDA was set to expire. Other ongoing projects which were begun in 2018 and continued throughout 2019 were identifying parcels of existing buildings and commercial parcels that were either for sale or lease in Irondale, discussing quadrants with the city's engineer, and aggressively marketing Irondale to commercial developers. The good news is that these efforts resulted in additional correspondence and meetings with a couple of commercial retailers and developers interested in coming to Irondale. These discussions continue today and are moving in the direction of big wins for the city. In 2019, the CDA signed a contract with Retail Strategies and made an offer on a commercial property with a right of first refusal, subject to an appraisal, certified survey, environmental inspection, clear title, and financing. However, a counteroffer was made by another interested party, and because the board had completed its due diligence on the property, the board unanimously voted to exercise its right of first refusal. The CDA also authorized its chairman to begin discussions with a real estate broker about its interest in a second commercial property in Irondale. But when he inquired on the property, he learned that it had already been sold. The good news on this property is that the new owner of the property opened up for business last year. Other projects the CDA worked on in 2019 was jointly working with its partner, Retail Strategies, in putting together a list of potential retail sites in Irondale and relevant data for each of the parcels that would be used in marketing Irondale to various retailers. They have been involved in discussions with ALDOT about condemning the radius throughway at the intersections at 16th Street and Highway 78 so that these properties would be much more marketable. Additionally, the CDA has been working on getting estimated costs to have sites pad-ready, having data and traffic counts on Irondale to provide to retailers and developers interested in doing business in Irondale, and they are developing a project tracking chart which lists the various projects that they have been working on. In 2020, the CDA began to work on identifying parcels in the areas that were designated as opportunity zones by the state of Alabama in Irondale. During this time, they also continued having discussions with commercial developers and retailers interested in coming to Irondale. They continued working on the radius throughway at the intersections at 16th Street and Highway 78. And they continued to meet with Retail Strategies to discuss other retailers and developers expressing an interest in parcel properties and quadrants in Irondale. These are some of examples of some of the significant amount of work that the CDA has been doing despite only meeting once a month for 1 to 1.5 hours. These men are very dedicated. They work behind the scenes. They prepare all that is needed for their meetings so that when they come together for their monthly meetings, they are ready to conduct the business of the CDA and make decisions that serve the best interest of Irondale. As a former board member of the CDA, it truly has been an honor for me to serve with these fine gentlemen. And as their city council liaison, I'll conclude by saying that the hard work these gentlemen do is analogous to that of a skilled fisherman who diligently works in assembling his rods, reels, fishing tackle, bait, and lures. Then he goes out and he casts into the ocean. He skillfully works his lines, then patiently waits for the fish to bite. Throughout this process, the patient fisherman continues to cast and work his lines until he finally hooks a fish. But in this scenario, it doesn't take long for the fisherman to realize that the fish on his line is a whopper, and he's going to need his fishing buddies to help him bring it in. The fishermen take turns in working to bring the well of a fish in, and this scenario goes on for hours until they finally succeed in bringing the fish in. I hope this story of the fisherman and his buddies give you an idea of the amount of work that these board members of the CDA have been doing over the last 3 years. What is needed now is the virtue of patience so that these skilled and talented fishermen can bring in their catch for everyone in this city to enjoy. Gentlemen, thank you very much for freely giving your time and for sharing your gifts, knowledge, and experience for the betterment of our city. And I applaud you.
Does that conclude your report, Councilwoman
Yes, sir.
Clear? Thank you. Councilman Box?
Thank you, Council President. Just want to tell everybody again, thank you for coming. Looks like we got a busy agenda tonight, so I'll be kind of brief with mine. I'm actually the council liaison for the public safety, which includes fire and the police department. And I also work with Mr. Pennington quite a bit with Public Works. That dovetails into the fact we have a neighborhood meeting in Hampton Place, May the 6th at 6 p.m. I would love to see some more of the neighborhoods of District 4 reach out and contact me to set up a schedule as well where we can meet with the mayor, myself, the department heads that are there to discuss things concerning your individual neighborhoods that we'd like to see moving forward through that. Appreciate Councilman Quaylar's history of the CDA. It's very informative. And on another note, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. Elf toy production is fine, so I think that's all. I was working on something else as well. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Wilson?
I'll make mine very quick because, well, I just thank everybody for coming tonight. Like I mentioned to the mayor earlier, I wish we would have had this at Shays Valley, you know, for everyone to have a seat. So, but that didn't happen. But anyway, I just want to just let everyone know that there will be a new restaurant that'll be opening in Irondale on May the 1st. They will be opening their doors on May the 1st. This particular establishment has been featured in the Birmingham Business Journal. That's just one form of communication and has been a staple also in the Jefferson County community for many, many months or whatsoever. They are well known around town and probably around the state. The name of the establishment is Eat at Panoptic. If don't anyone know where that is, it's located right here on 78, where the old Green Acres building used to be. And really, I'm just excited to have Chef Raquel locate her business here in the city. And I would ask all the citizens to make sure you go by there and patronize this particular establishment because she has very, very good food. I'm telling you, she has one of the best food trucks you would ever imagine that has been around the city of Birmingham and even outside of Birmingham, probably Shelby County area. So just make sure you go by there and kind of patronize that establishment. She has some very good food. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. And for my report, I want to piggyback on what you're saying, Councilman Wilson. We saw the pictures. I don't know if you've seen what she has done to the Green Acres building, but it is a massive improvement, and looking forward to enjoying that space, and very excited to have another establishment. Many years ago, it was identified in the comprehensive plan that we did not have many eat-in restaurants, and that has obviously changed. Obviously, we've had our staples. I see Golden Roll here represented tonight, and we appreciate you and your role in the community, but we are obviously excited to have other people that have decided to set up shop in our fine city to provide those services. As far as being the liaison to the Planning and Zoning Board, I will spare that report because one of those cases is going to be in front of us tonight, so you'll get to hear that firsthand. With that being said, that concludes my report for the evening. Now we find ourselves looking for any reports of boards and non-council committees.
We have Chairman David Pugh from the CDA Board.
Sir?
I haven't seen y'all in a while. Go
How
ahead.
long's a while?
At the CDA at council meetings, but go ahead.
2 months.
I think it's been longer than that.
No?
You have the floor.
The minutes.
Go ahead, go ahead, go
Well,
ahead.
first of all, I'm glad to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to give you an update. That's what the intent was. This is not everything we're working on, but it's the big things, or areas of particular emphasis. We have been focusing a lot of our effort on the Grants Mill I-459 intersection, those 4 quadrants. And there's 4 parcels in particular. One of them, which was the old Moodry property, which is a multi-acre property, is the subject of a project that I understand the city council's been apprised of, and there's been ongoing discussions with a large retail national company that would be an anchor tenant. That's got a lot of potential for multiple retail opportunities in the future. There's a much smaller parcel on the Grants Mill Road frontage that may either be independently developed or developed as part of that overall project. On the southeast quadrant, there's a little over 5-acre parcel. We've met now 3 times with the owner of that parcel to talk to them about how that might be either involved in the overall development of the big project or independently developed. And then there's a very small 4th parcel that's being looked at by a national QSR, quick service restaurant they're very interested in, and we hope all 4 of them go, because that would generate a substantial amount of revenue for the city, and all of us would benefit from that. As far as the grocery store project, which is on the corner of Old Leeds Road and Grants Mill, we've been working through our consultant retail strategies to help them with the development. There's going to be either 2 or 3 out parcels on that development that will have independent retail projects on that. The Regions Bank building, we've contacted at least 2 other banks to encourage them to go by and look at that, because considering the price tag they've got on that building and the way it was originally designed, it is best suited for another bank to move in. Unfortunately, that's like swimming upstream right now, because as most people know, banks are moving away from brick and mortar. We'll see what happens there. And then most recently, we've met with Leanne McNally, who owns McNally Land Design, and asked her to give us a proposal for what it would take to come up with some plans for redevelopment along Highway 78 as far as aesthetic redevelopment, things that we might do as far as the business frontage, landscaping, those kind of things. And I want to say this, we meet when we meet, and I want to emphasize what Councilwoman Cuellar said. Everybody who's ever served on the CDA is a volunteer, and we do it for one reason. We want to help the city. And we want to help support our city council, who has heavy burdens on their shoulders to run the business of the city. Mayor Stewart, who previously served on the CDA, he has experience on the CDA, and then met with us during the time that I've been on when he was city clerk, and now makes his office available and has not missed a single meeting of ours, works hand in hand with us. And I appreciate that cooperation so much, and we have told him that we want to make sure that we're all rowing the boat in the same direction. We want to help support his projects, including the Blueprint Irondale plan. And he was the one that hooked us up with McNally Land Design because he had been talking to them about their involvement in future efforts as far as land planning and aesthetic enhancement of the city of Irondale. So our intent as we move forward is to work hand in hand with his plan and try to continue just to pound home the theme. Let's all row the boat in the same direction. Unless you have any questions, that's my report. I appreciate it.
I do have
David,
one.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can I get one
Go-
question?
go ahead, Council.
Hey, Could we get council, because I hear a lot of things that have been going on since 2018 that I'm not privy of. Could we get some frequent updates of what's happening, just so we can be kind of in the loop of what's going on? Just a quick email from us, that'd be fine.
Or we
For me,
can
it'd
send,
be
we can
something for
send you
me.
the minutes as well.
Yes, for me.
So that might be the best
That'd
thing.
even be better, because
Yeah.
I haven't received any minutes or anything, and I hear a lot of things y'all got going on. I would love to kind of be, in that.
Sure.
In that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Council London hit exactly what I was going to say. Some of us work 10 hours a day, and they're not able to come to the meetings. I noticed you mentioned that the mayor has opened up his office, but some of us work 10 hours a day. I know you're an attorney. You understand. Some of us work out of town, so we would appreciate if we just get that information and just a little bit of updates. That's all. Just some updates.
Number one, that's the reason I came here tonight, because
Yeah.
I want to do the same thing. I have the same desire. We've also got the same obligations
Right.
and no staff or opportunity to do it. But since the minute we create the minutes anyway, that'd be the best way to do it. And it's an easy thing to do. So I'm happy to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we want to be on the front end instead of the back end.
Right, and I would comment on the
Yeah.
minutes. We have been, since 2018, been providing the mayor and the city clerk with the minutes of the CDA board meetings. So that's been going on since 2018.
Council Quaylard, Council London, and I just mentioned that we need to know a little bit more update as far as what's going on with the CDA. Thank you, David.
If I may for a
appreciate
second,
it.
I know that there are some
Thank you.
things that you can't discuss. So
Right.
obviously, we would
understand
look
that.
for updates sent out to us for the things that you can.
Which is the reason in some of those reports
Yeah.
I did not give specific names. And I
Right.
appreciate that y'all appreciate that.
We understand. We
Right,
understand.
we understand, but it's
Yeah.
going to come to us.
Yeah.
We're going to know about it anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate your time, sir. All right, thank you, CDA. Any reports from any other boards or non-council committees at this time? Fair enough. All right, now we find ourselves ready to deliberate on agenda items only. Our first item is a public hearing, so we're going to skip past that. Item on our agenda, item number 3 and item number 6, we've been asked to postpone. So when it comes time to approval of the agenda, we'd like to make some notes there to have those items basically postponed. That being said, we find ourselves ready to deliberate item number 1 under new business, which is ordinance 2021-7. I'm sorry, moving on. Item number 2, that ordinance 2021-08 grants a gas franchise to Spire, Alabama Incorporated. Mayor, if you could, or if you would like to have Miss April kind of walk us through that.
This is agreement with Spire. We have franchise agreements with all of the utilities that are in the city of Irondale. So this one has expired, and we are renewing it. April was the individual that crafted the document, so if you have any detailed questions about certain items in the document, then she will be able to address them. But it's really just a franchise agreement that we have with all of our utilities whenever they expire and whenever they want to be able to do something in the city of Irondale. It basically outline the do's and don'ts.
Thank you, sir. Councilman London, do you have any questions regarding that item?
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
No questions?
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Wilson?
Are there any changes to this particular renewal?
Yes, there are.
Okay, I'll get with you later. All right, thank you.
All right, and then myself, I have no questions. I've clarified those already. Skipping past item number 3, on to item number 4, Resolution 2021 R36 accepts a bid for a source capture exhaust removal system. Mayor, I would defer to you for that explanation.
Okay, this is a device that will be installed at each firehouse that we have here in the city of Irondale. And what it does is it captures the exhaust as the trucks are running in the truck. Instead of allowing it just to flow throughout the whole facility, it actually captures everything from the back of the fire truck and vents it out of the firehouse.
So they don't actually enjoy breathing exhaust in the station?
No, they don't.
Okay, I can understand that. Now,
Are these long pipes that goes up?
yeah, there's some schematics
The
in there.
hoses? Yeah.
Yeah, some schematics. And that's going to fit in all 3 stations. And then I know, was there a grant on that, or is this a paid-for budgeted item? So FEMA grant, 95% grant money, 5% match, and the 5% is budgeted. So that being said, Councilman London, any questions regarding that?
No question.
Councilwoman Quayle?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No, I'm good.
Councilman Wilson?
I'm good.
Outstanding. Myself, I'm good as well. All right, moving on to our next item. Resolution 2021 R37 designates the month of May 2021 as Tax Amnesty Month for the payment of certain taxes due to the city of Irondale. When I first read that, I freaked out a little bit, but I've come to understand this is very similar to our court amnesty, where we're providing the ability for people to come and pay unpaid taxes, minus the fees, and things like that. Mayor, would you like to add to that?
Yes, some of our small businesses are struggling during the COVID season, and instead of them getting behind or afraid not to remit their taxes because they don't have all the money to be able to pay for it, and the penalties and interests are continuing to pile up, we wanted to give everybody an opportunity during the month of May that if they are behind, that they can come in and they can actually catch up all of their tax obligations, and we will waive the penalty and interest.
Councilman Lennon, any questions there?
No question.
Councilwoman Quayle?
Yeah, I just have 2 questions. The first one is, how long have these taxes been past due? Do we know?
Well, we're talking, well, no, I can't give you a definitive answer because I do not have the delinquent list in front of me. But I can get you a copy of the list if you want to know that everybody that has been delinquent in paying their taxes. Now, this is also will help us to be able to collect taxes from people that never paid taxes. So I can't tell you who has not paid taxes, but I can give you a list of those individual companies that are delinquent on their
The
taxes.
reason I was asking that question is you mentioned the COVID, and I certainly understand that because of COVID, that they haven't been able to be open for businesses, as, you know, some of them have to shut down completely. And so that's why I was wondering, how long have these taxes been past due? Are we talking about 2020, or are we going further than 2020?
We will compute that when the individuals come in to pay their taxes.
Do we have an idea of what the total amount of these taxes are that are past due?
If we knew if we knew what it was, then I wouldn't offer it. I'll just go directly after the taxpayers if I knew exactly what we were going to collect. But since I don't know what we're going to collect, that's why we're giving them an opportunity to come in and to be able to present that to the city.
No further questions?
Councilman Box, any questions on that one?
No, I think I got a pretty good grasp on it. This is just an encouragement for businesses that may have been operating outside of a licensed and/or taxed scenario, or people that may actually be delinquent of it to actually come in and get things squared away and move forward in an appropriate manner. So I kind of respect the fact that we're doing this.
My understanding as well. Councilman Wilson?
Yeah, same sentiments.
Sentiments? Understood. Postponement of item number 6. And then item number 7, Resolution 2021 R39 allows the mayor to renew a contract between the City of Irondale and River Tree Systems. Mayor, I understand this is expired and it's time to renew this?
Yes, this is a contract that we are renewing. The city has never, well, let me rephrase that. To my recollection, I can't remember the city having the ability to audit businesses. We do have a senior revenue examiner position that we had here at the city. But even during that time, that person was not going out to individual businesses and actually auditing them. At the present time, we do not have the capabilities to be able to do that in-house. Therefore, we would like to renew the contract with Rivertree Revenue Systems. They actually charge $75 per hour. We can provide them with a list of companies that we want them to audit, and they also provide us with a list of companies that they are auditing for other municipalities that may have done business in the city of Irondale, but they can't determine that until they begin the auditing process. Over the last 3 years, and I'm talking off the top of my head, but we have collected $377,000 through their efforts to be able to audit businesses to make sure that they're paying their fair share. And I want to say that we've paid $77,000 for the collection of the $377,000 that we received. Or, let me just give you an estimate, just in case I'm quoted, is between $300,000 and $400,000, but we've paid over $77,000 to get those funds.
Thank you, sir. Councilman London?
No question.
Councilwoman Quayle?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
I understand that, thank you.
Councilman Wilson?
I'm good, thank you.
I'll say myself, I am good as well. Item number 8, Resolution 2021 R40 declares that certain public property is not needed for public or municipal purposes and directs the disposal of said property. We received an itemized list of the items in question. Councilman London, do you have any questions there?
No question.
Councilman Quayle?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No question.
Councilman Wilson?
No question.
Myself, no questions there as well. Last item on the agenda is going to be a Resolution 2021 R41 that appoints a city clerk treasurer for the city of Irondale. So when it comes time for that, we were all here for the interviews. So I'll be looking for a nomination at that time that's introduced onto the floor. Before we move into our public hearing, we've run down the list of our items. Are there any, obviously, 1 and 2 will have to move through the process. Is there anybody that's willing to be open to considering 4 on consent?
Yes.
That's the exhaust system.
Okay, what did you say about 1 and 2? I'm sorry.
Well,
was
since
looking at
those are ordinances, we have to take them through the
That's right.
process, and then
That's
we're postponing 3.
Okay,
And then item number 4 would be the exhaust.
okay.
Is there any opposition for that being on consent at all? All right, so we're looking at number 4 on consent, and we'll go back through this before we approve it fully. Item number 5, is that something that could be on consent?
Yes.
Any feedback on that? Okay. We're postponing number 6. Item number 7, is that something we could allow on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, everybody's good there? All right, item number 8, how do we feel about consent on that item?
Yes.
I'm good.
Everybody's good? And then item number 9, obviously, we will make the recommendation and take that through the process. So we'll go ahead and move into our public hearing at this time. Notice is hereby given that its regular public meeting beginning at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, April 21st, 2021, at the Irondale City Hall located at 101 20th Street South, Irondale, Alabama, within Jefferson County, Alabama. The City Council of the City of Irondale, the city, will hear comments from interested citizens concerning the proposed rezoning from a I-1 light industrial district to an R-4 multifamily district for the property located at 2510 Crestwood Boulevard, Irondale, Alabama, 35210. Mouthful, sorry. So as we move into this process, I understand we have some interested parties that want to most likely come up and discuss this. We have a lot of people here that are obviously interested in this case, so it will be a timed situation. So what I would like is the people that are interested in describing this case, that are interested in possibly the purchase, come up 3 minutes to make the case. Each council person will have 3 minutes to pose a question, and then 1 minute to rebut, and then 1 minute for a clarifying question. Does everybody understand? And then once we move past the interested parties, we will then move into the citizens that are for. There will be 3 minutes on the for, and then once we're done with the fors, we will move into 3 minutes, 3-minute comments for the nays. Everybody good? Perfect. So the interested parties that are interested in the rezoning and the possible purchase, if y'all would please come up and we'll get started.
Council President, one question for clarification now.
Sure.
The citizens that are for, are you saying a total of 3 minutes for those citizens, or 3 minutes per citizen?
Per individual.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so you're representing the interested party?
Yes.
Outstanding. And what's your name, sir?
My name is Edson Michelle. I am the real estate agent or commercial agent representing the buyers. 3 individuals by the name of Theo Kamini, Mike Bocanegra, and Lane O'Brien, who is unable to attend tonight due to a personal matter. Good evening, council members.
Good evening.
We are here tonight, obviously requesting the ability to change the current zoning over to R4 for a specific reason, obviously, is to present to you guys a Class A apartment complex that we have been negotiating with the current owners over the past, I'd say about 4 to 5 months. And the reason why I bring that up is that I want you guys to understand that there has been a lot of homework done on the front end to make sure that we are bringing you guys something that will add value to the city. That is our primary focus with all of our projects, is to add value to each city that we bring an apartment complex to. So with that being said, as I mentioned, a Class A apartment complex of roughly about 64 units. I do believe one of the owner-operators did pass out a packet which has photos of the renderings, in addition to a proposed budget. I want you all to understand that our budget is, well, let me say it like this. We take a lot of pride in this project and the past projects that we have done. With that being said, this budget is north of $1.5 billion. So we want you guys to understand that the history of the Siesta Motel and the tragic past, we are trying to eliminate that from the minds of the residents of Irondale. And the way we're doing that, once again, is showing you that we are going to strip this property down to the bare bones. There has been rumors that we are bringing some sort of subsidized housing. We've heard rumors of Section 8 or low-income housing, and that is just not the case. That is not what we do. We have never been in a position to do anything of that. When I mean Class A, the rents that we have been looking at or done the research on are based on the neighboring apartment complexes in the area. One, for example, the Village at Grants Mill, that was our biggest case study because they are very similar to what we are doing. They were a conversion a long time ago. We do understand that it wasn't well received in the very beginning, but has turned out to be a positive for the city.
Thank you, sir.
That is exactly what we're trying to do, if not better.
Thank you, sir.
That's what I have here for you guys.
Okay. Now, I know that you have a lot of people representing this property, so I do want to go ahead and if there's something additional to what this gentleman's provided us from an informational standpoint, or if there's something else that you would like to point out, I would like to go ahead and give another 3 minutes there to further, if y'all have something that y'all would like to share about the property, I'd like to give another 3 minutes for that.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Bocanegra. I'm one of the key sponsors on the deal. I'm not going to repeat a lot of what Edson said. Just so you know, I have a history of doing deals like this. We own a little over 330 units across the state of Florida as well as in Georgia. The main thing I'll bring with it to back what Edson was saying is, again, we've heard rumors, things like that. He's correct. Our budget is around 1.5 to 1.7 we're going to put in CapEx into the deal on top of the purchase price. So I want to make sure you understand that this wasn't something where we come in and we're just going to paint it and put flooring in it. It's a full redo that we're going to do. The other thing, how I got contacted with this is where I'm from in Florida, in Tallahassee, I get contacted quite a bit from code enforcement, from banks, things like that. Not that we run them wrong, but people that run them wrong. And they typically contact me to fix the problems. So again, there is something that is there, that we try and save a building the way that it is to be used for the better of the city. I did hear quite a bit of you guys talking on the commercial development things. We're a developer and we're actually here right now to do it. So there's no, we have to do certain things on it. We've had our financing and things like that lined up. So I just wanted to make that point. That's typically how I get contacted, and it's a good deal. So we believe that it could be a good benefit for the city. So I really just wanted to add that part. And again, we have more details on the construction budget, things like that we can give you that's in the package, or we can speak when you have questions on it. So that's all. I don't want to take too much time. Thank you.
You still have about 1:30 if there's someone else that would like to fill the rest of your time.
Thank you. I'm Sam Friedman. I'm an attorney at Cerroti and Permit here in Birmingham. My clients hired me to work on this project. My specialty is multifamily, and the point I want to make to all of you is that my clients are very serious about this project. They contacted me at the beginning of January. It took us about a month to get the project under contract. We've got a title report, and for the remaining due diligence, environmental survey, all of those other items. Obviously, zoning's a threshold issue, and it's really important, but I can tell you, working with my clients and being in the multifamily world, this project's going to take a little bit of creativity for whoever does whatever with that property, especially, the location, and it's really a lot of potential there, but it's going to take some creativity, and I can tell you my guys have definitely have the motivation and creativity. So if there are any questions about the contract or where we are in the process, I'm happy to answer them. But again, we just appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, and thank you very much for considering.
Thank you, sir. And then before I forget, anybody that speaks tonight, including the ones that have already, we have a form in the back there where we just need to record your information officially for the record. So if y'all could, before y'all leave tonight, and then anybody else that comes up forward, please have that information filled out. So now comments to this previous speakers. Councilman London, do you require 3 minutes to ask some questions?
Well, not 3 minutes, but I'm just want to say, just looking through the proposal of this project, and if this councilman choose to say yes on this project, just looking at the vendors that they're going to use, or part of Irondale, Alabama Appliance, they're going to use Cox Pools, which is Irondale, 84 Lumber, Marathon Electric, Sherwin-Williams, or our own businesses, which I think in this time of COVID, I know a lot of our businesses are hurting, so this I think is just a great opportunity for us to give back to some of our businesses if the council decide this is what we decide to do. But just looking at that vendors list kind of got me excited about it.
Got you. Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Cuellar, you have 3 minutes.
I was, in looking over your budget, seeing the total here is 1.4 million. And I'm wondering if you're at liberty to tell us, you said that you're in contract negotiations. How much are the parties selling you the property for?
And Councilwoman Cuellar, before you answer that, sir, is that your one and only question, or would you like to fill the rest of your time and then give them their 1 minute to respond?
No, that was.
That's your one question?
Yes.
Understood. Okay.
Am I ready to respond?
Please.
So the purchase price is $1,350,000, and we're actually under contract. We've been under contract since the beginning of February, and we're just in a due diligence zoning period right now. And once we get through zoning, then we're off to the races. And our clients will be spending a lot of money on due diligence because they're really excited about the project, but it's going to take a lot of due diligence to make sure the project's going to work.
Councilwoman, do you require a further reply?
No, that's good. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. Councilman Box?
I guess I have a couple of questions. You want? A couple of quick questions. Just recapping this whole issue, a couple of months ago, I'm not sure if that's the exact time, but this building came before the council for a complete abatement to actually be demolished. And that was supposedly based on studies that were done either by the CDA or the city, and then also by our code enforcement officer, that there were just numerous electrical, plumbing, and structural violations in the building, where the council actually voted to abate the property. Then we were delaying the abatement of the property to give the prospective buyers and new owners a chance to come forth and show us the possibility of why we shouldn't do it. And then now we're saying we actually need to rezone it. So I guess my question would be, have you done any engineering studies that would refute the studies and the things that we have had presented to us that say that the building, well, it doesn't need to come down? Of course, I realize that you're throwing some pretty big numbers out there for renovations, but when you actually, having been in construction all my life, when you actually go to renovate an old building that's there, you're going to have cost overruns. When you come to a foundation that's, you thought this building was going to be okay, but it's actually collapsed, and you're going to move forward in there. So I don't understand if it's actually appropriate. I'm a rookie to politics, so I'm just going to be blunt and honest. Don't see why we need to do a zoning change. If you're interested in the property, buy the property, start moving forward with making corrections on it, see where you're at, and then come back and get a zoning change. Once you show us that you're either A, going to take that building down and put a new building there so that this, I'm not going to say limit, but it would be restricted income or reserved income is what I'm seeing. And another question would be, some of these don't appear to be ADA compliant. Are all of them going to be ADA compliant? Just a certain amount of them going to be ADA compliant? And then my final question is kind of off the wall, but it brings to mind your other properties that are comparable to what I'm seeing. Do you have any idea what your crime percentage reports are for that type of housing? And that's all my questions.
Thank you. You have 1 minute to respond to Councilman Box.
Good evening. My name is Theo Kameny. I'll be the manager for the construction. I have 25 years plus experience in construction, plus my family have developed in different buildings. I have walked the property 3 times already. There's structurally, from what I've seen, I'm also an interior architect by trade. From what I've seen on the property, I don't see any excessive damage as structural. The codes that you bring in, the violations on the electrical, the plumbing issues, those, if we were to remodel the building, that means we're going to strip it down to the studs. So it will be all new compliance on the electrical, all new compliance on the plumbing. So there should be no violations, or there will be no code violations on that, because that will be brand new electrical, brand new plumbing to the 2015 codes. As of there was some structural damage. It was on the porches that there was on the balconies in one of the buildings in the rear, which I will make sure those are fixed and they're corrected properly. In Florida, when we do a lot of construction, I build most of my construction are all block construction, and I use a lot of engineered trusses and subfloors are all engineered. If I was to use any 2x4s or 2x8s, or especially when we build porches, we use buckets. I did not see any buckets on this building. When we built it, we will restructure these porches or whatever needs to be redone. I will make sure that everything is done to the code. And actually, I know some of the Alabama codes do not require to have buckets, but I will reinforce I always like to reinforce. I like to be safe than sorry.
Thank you, sir.
I built,
He can have some of mine because I wanted
I
to,
do
I wanted
have
to
a
know this.
follow-up as
Yeah,
well,
you,
though.
they can have mine.
There were
yeah.
several questions, so please.
Right.
and I will
And we need to know.
build, you know, I built to the hurricane, in Florida, we built to the hurricane standard codes.
Okay.
So
Very
this
well.
building will be just as strong.
Okay. It didn't answer all of the questions, but I guess maybe some of your other constituents can answer that with you. One follow-up question for you, though. It appears that some of the buildings are possibly complete wood structure. Some of the yellow ones that are the one-story that possibly are either OSB or plywood or some type of siding with stucco on them. And if those contain mold, as was kind of presented to us, that's going to be difficult to abate that without taking that down. I'm not an expert at it, but
The one-story buildings, they're not, they're block.
they are block,
They are
concrete block
yeah,
with
they are
stucco.
block, and the exterior, they wrapped it with aluminum siding.
Okay, well, okay, now you're talking about the ones that are right there, so like rooms 130 through 160.
It's the one closer to the restaurant.
That is correct. Those-
Now, there's a shed behind those, right?
Mhm.
That's all, that's coming down. I'm not gonna.
Okay, very well. So that answers that follow-up question, but I still haven't gotten an answer to the previous questions.
And the previous question
What was the previous
Well,
question?
the previous question was about number one, do they have any idea on crime percentages there?
Oh, okay.
And then the ADA compliances.
Okay.
On the ADA compliances, yet I can't have an ADA upstairs, but it will be on the first floor, on the first,
So all of your first floor rooms are planned as ADA compliant?
most of them, yes.
Most of them,
Whatever the code calls for.
okay.
And please feel free to go ahead and seek resolution on your question, your crime question.
And as I said, they may not have that. That's kind of an off-the-wall question, just simply because
Okay, fair enough.
it is typical in development like this that unless it is retirees, you see sometimes a little bit higher crime instances there. So you can address it. Thank you. That'll be great.
To answer your question, yeah, I can get you the information on it. I don't have the exact number on our exact crime number. What I do know is the properties we have taken over had a significantly high crime rate. That was from police departments contacting us. Once we did take it over, it depended on the class we were going to put back in there. So we have had some properties that were affordable housing. Crime rate is still very low, but most of our properties are a higher end property, which that's what we envision this to be. And what I mean by higher end, it's more of higher rent prices, so you're getting a different clientele. And in that instance, our crime rate is basically nothing on it. So we have no issues with it. And that's based off us dealing with our own property management company and getting information on them. But I can get you exact numbers from, police departments if we need it.
It's just a curiosity,
Okay,
so I
yep.
think that'd help. And just, I guess, a quick follow-up question there, if I may, Council President. What are your targeted lease amounts for what you've presented?
Yeah, targeted lease amounts, I want to make sure to drive that home. This is one-year leases. We're not looking at, extended stays or nothing. We're looking at a range between, I say, $900 to $1,150 a month. The reason I'm giving you a range is, I guess to even answer one of your questions, why don't we start first and then come back to get the zoning? We partially need to know what we can zone it to and how many units we can do. That gives us a better range if, say, for instance, the studios, we have to do more studios than one bedrooms, then our average price is going to adjust off of that. But at the lowest end, we're still looking at, between $900 to $1,150 is our range, comparable to the other property we looked at.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Well,
So kind of give you a range.
I can see that doesn't necessarily change my opinion of the zoning thing, but we'll look at everything after we hear the
Understandable.
citizens.
And one thing I did want to, on the zoning part too, is density. We haven't said much. I did want to mention that point. I forgot to mention it, but you have a property that's around 113 units now. We're going to bring the density down to maybe somewhere between 60 to 70 units. So by bringing the density down, there won't be, I guess it's not taxing the city systems as much because there's not so many people that'll be living there like a motel would. So just wanted to bring that up.
All right, thank you. Thank you for clarification.
I did have a follow-up question for him.
1 second, Councilwoman Quayle. Councilwoman Wilson.
They touched on basically everything that Councilor Box had asked. So Councilor Quayle, she can have mine as
Outstanding.
well. Yeah.
Councilwoman Quayle.
Yes, for you. And looking at the information that you've provided, I'm interested in knowing is, can renters be allowed to have pets on this property?
That is a good question. We still are kind of doing a little analysis on it. Most of my properties I currently own do have pet policies in place that we can offer. It depends sometimes on our insurance, so we can get a little more detail on it. I'm just going off of the history of what we have right now. Typically, if we do allow pets, there's usually a size restriction, and there's a amount of pets you could have. It's usually limited to, say, one dog, typically under 50 pounds, and part of it obviously goes to the tenant base, but it's partially for our insurance as well, too. So we do it because when we do multifamily, we're not looking at just satisfying one tenant that has a pet. It's a community, so we have to make sure that everybody is comfortable with it.
Right, and that's why I was asking the question, because in looking at your floor plans here, we're looking at 800 square feet and 950 square feet. And so that's why I was asking that question. And then also, will this be a gated apartment community?
Yep, that's a good question. What we typically do, back to the pet part, it may be limited to certain units. So, we may say we can only allow a certain percentage of pets to stay at the property depending on the size. Most of the time when we look at pets, it's the space where, like, say, a dog will be able to relieve themselves. That's how we base how many we have. And then to answer your question on the gated, typically what we do is we have a gate that will go around the whole property as a privacy fence. It's usually a one-way in, one-way out. It always, to your point with crime, that's what we've done, and it really lowers any kind of crime issue we'd have, no matter what class property. It's more professional looking. And what we typically do is we wait till the end to see if it's actual gated, where there will be a key code or something like that to get physically into the property. We kind of do a little bit more analysis on that to see what the market wants to do. Good?
Thank you.
Yep.
And then my question for you, and Mr. Box, thank you very much for your thorough questions there. That definitely addressed some of my concerns as well, so I appreciate that. Children, focusing on the family, okay? You've mentioned this as a community, so two questions for you, and then I'll let you answer them there. I see that you've got a pool in your drawing. What other amenities will be there for children? And then B, do you have any other properties that sit on the edge of a major interstate corridor, which is deemed one of the major sex trafficking arteries in the nation?
So first question with children, from us looking at the property, again, it sounds strange, but we do go back to zoning to see kind of what our layout looks like, to know where certain sizes, if, say, we have a small studio unit that's 250, square feet, it's gonna be hard to have a three-person family in there. So, but yes, we do look at an area where the pool is. If you're looking in the back corner, there's a really kind of overgrown field. That's where there used to be a spot for kids to be able to play. We typically, when we start to get underway, we get a little bit more feedback from tenants that are starting to look at the properties, and we try and designate a certain area. We like that area personally. It was in the back. If you had a privacy fence going around, kids can't go in the back. There's a river or like a stream that runs behind it, so it protects them from going there, and it also keeps the kids kind of in the corner a little bit, so it's easier for parents to monitor them. We've tried to do that in our other properties. And as far as close to an artery, most of my properties are probably within 3 or 4 miles from a main highway. The property we have in Georgia is a little closer to one of the interstates, and how we've kind of controlled it again is privacy fence. And that's about the extent that I can say for it.
Understood.
Yep.
Thank you very much. That concludes my questions.
I do have one.
Sure.
In reference to the contract, Mr. Friedman. Is there any language in the contract, just based on some of the things I've been hearing, that this property will transfer to new owners after, I guess, it's up and running to some other company and they're going to turn it into Section 8 housing or things like that? Is there any language in the contract where it's going to remain with the primary owners for a certain length of time or whatever?
Good question. No, sir, there is not any language in the contract. Or really, what you're talking about is putting a restrictive covenant.
That's right.
Sort of covenant against the property being transferred or sold for a particular purpose. There's nothing that's contemplated in the contract right now.
Okay.
We're kind of in a chicken and egg situation where we can only get so far until the zoning's approved, but of course, you all have very valid questions about what the project's going to look like. So, if the project isn't rezoned, then I don't think we're going to be able to get financing to buy the property. So this is kind of the threshold issue. So a lot of these questions are things that hopefully once the zoning change is approved, we'll be able to really kick the tires and look under the hood and really do some extensive project-specific due diligence. And, you know, I don't know if it's a possibility in Irondale. This is my first time in front of this council. But if there was a conditional zoning where it only changes if and when we end up buying the property, I know that would be acceptable to us. We just, for the sake of getting financing and spending money during due diligence, we're really kind of at a stopping point right now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
So are our questions for these prospects concluded?
I do have one follow-up, just one question. I heard you talk about Class A. Is that the top of the line building that you're building in Irondale? Could you explain the different classes with that?
So yeah, a Class A property, usually when you're looking at a multifamily, there'll maybe be 4 different classifications from A, B, C, D. It's not necessarily the tenant base as it is the property itself, maybe the neighborhood. It gives kind of a better idea of what what the property entails. Typically, an A-class building would be something that's brand new, maybe less than 10 years old. It could be the ones that have a lot of amenities, pools, dog parks, all kinds of stuff. As you move farther down the line from a B, C, and D, they become where the building becomes older. So if I'm looking at a property that's never been renovated and I'm looking at, say, a C-class property, it could be something in the 70s that was built. It tells me as a developer that, okay, I know I'll need to put X amount of money into it to bring it to a different class. So once the class goes up, it lets me know of the history of the property, and what we can do. It does coincide where when you do see an A, B, C, or D property, the lower the class, it just coincides with a lower rent, because typically the property, it may need more maintenance in the long run, but because it doesn't have so many amenities, then you can, the tenant base that moves in then has a lower price point that they pay. So with us, when we're looking at this, if we were to move in and say, hey, let's just freshen it with paint, if that was possible, if there wasn't all these code enforcement things, then it's still an old building. And our idea of doing it, if we're going to do it, we plan on holding it long term. We don't plan on buying it and selling it in a year. And that's why we want to put so much money into it. So it benefits it benefits the neighborhood is really what we try and do. So I don't know if that answered it.
Thank you, sir.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Councilman, if I could piggyback off of what he just said.
Please, but briefly.
So, as a buyer agent, it's my responsibility or job per se to kind of do my research and homework on a lot of the questions that you just asked when it comes to crime, demographic, research of the building, the whole 9 yards. I will tell you, between myself and the seller's representation or seller's agent, we wouldn't have even gotten to this point if those questions weren't answered by her from the very beginning. She was very adamant about ensuring that we come forth with a Class A property based on the history of the Siesta Motel. So one of the key factors that we look into as agents or when we're doing research for this is definitely location, proximity to retail shops, the growth of the city overall, growth of the neighboring city overall, and as well as sustainability. As Mike just told you, this is not a short-term project. This is something that we plan on. The development of this is going to take well over a year, maybe a year and a half, depending on how soon we're able to start. And then you're talking about holding on to the property for upwards of 8 to 10 years. Each of the properties that these guys own, they still own. So if we're talking about all the projects that they had going on since 2012, I believe I had a chance to send those over to you. They still own to this day, whether it's Valdosta or the 3 properties over in Tallahassee. So this is not just a fix and flip. This is a buy and hold where we are becoming a part of the community and looking to be a part of all the growth that you guys just mentioned here tonight. So I just wanted to kind of add value with that based on what these guys just said.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let me
We need to save
Mr.
time here.
Edson, I just have a follow-up to what you just said. I appreciated speaking with you on the phone earlier today, and you did send me the information on the LaSalle Apartments, which is in Augusta, I believe, or,
LaSalle? Yes, ma'am.
yes. Y'all manage those apartments?
Yes, we have management companies that are
Okay.
in place.
That's what I wanted to make sure of. Company by the name of Lions Property Management.
Correct.
That's who's managing that? Okay, thank you.
Ms. April, I believe you were asking for some time?
I did. I just wanted to make a statement concerning the conditional zoning. That was a question that I had earlier whenever they were talking about that they were in their due diligence, period, and that if they did not purchase this property, if this rezoning passed, then it would still be under an R4 zoning. And so I would recommend that, if you do consider the rezoning, favorably, that you do make it conditional upon the actual, real estate transaction, closing, such that it would revert back after a certain period, such that it would not remain R4 if this particular, transaction did not go through.
Thank you for that clarification. I think that helped a lot of us. So as a body, are we satisfied to move and let our audience start asking, making their cases? Outstanding. All right, so now we've concluded our portion of this deal here, and so now we are looking for any comments for this project. And once again, please, thank you very much. If you do not bring up a slip, which I would ask you to, definitely state your name and address for the record, and then provide Mr. Frank a slip after you're finished speaking. So, Ms. Sue, you've got the floor for 3 minutes.
I caught a glimpse of the layout when the young man was standing here, and it looked like there were 5 units. There may be more behind it, but that's what I saw. But my question is he tearing everything down where the Siesta Motel has been? Is all of that going? In other words, he's going to hold on to these little units and make them into apartments?
Should we let them address it?
That
Maybe
is,
we should
based
let
on the
them address it.
format that I saw, you're keeping the existing layout mostly, and then you're going to take some of those individual rooms. Some of those individual rooms will be 1-bedrooms, and then some of those individual rooms might be combined, like 3 rooms equal a 2-bedroom. Do I hear you correctly? But overall, the format, looking down on the property, basically stays the same. Is that?
The exterior structure, I think, is what we're trying to see. According to what we see as being presented, the exterior structure of all the buildings except the wooden ones in the back will still stay intact, unless they run into something where they
In other words,
have to demolish.
They'll put
Is
the
that
new
accurate?
ones in the middle, and down each side would be the old Siesta Motel.
The form,
we might should divert to
I
that.
think it's better that they answer that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Please.
You want me to answer that?
Please.
Yes, please.
The property itself, the block itself will look the same, meaning the building will. But the exterior, the facade, and things like that are going to be updated where we don't want it to look like a motel anymore. So that's the exterior if you're driving by with a car. On the interior, the layout will be completely different inside, where there may be 1 or 2 units that were existing, but then we'll convert units to make them a 1 or 2 bedroom, so they're more a long-term lease.
I heard the young man say that the balconies would be constructed so they won't fall off or fall out, and they'll be there. That will remain. That's going to be part of it. What I want you all to remember is we talk about Old Irondale, but Highway 78, Crestwood Boulevard, is the gateway to Irondale, because everybody coming off the expressway, they go there to eat, they buy their gas, they may spend the night. What we need, and however you vote, that's the way it will be. But we've got to think long term. I keep thinking about that grass on one side of the siesta that's never been cut, never. And then on the other side is something else. And I can't believe people are going to want to live right here with all this stuff around them. It just floors me that they can't find a better spot to build and let a commercial building go in there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Do
Oh,
we
my
need?
time's up.
You're good. So are we putting you in the nay column?
I don't know.
We will just document your, fair enough.
I
Thank
think
you.
Sue is I
So-
think she's a no, Dave.
I would agree with that. I just
That's a
wanted to hear it from her. So
That's a no vote.
this is speaking for the
Yeah.
project.
In favor of
In
the project.
favor of the
project. We will
rezoning.
Right
we
now.
will provide an opportunity to speak against the project after speaking for the project. Are you speaking?
Okay.
You're against, so
So-
let's let the fours come first. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So once again, opening the floor for people that need to speak for the development. Name and address, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Charlie Beavers, 4301 Dolly Ridge Road, Birmingham 35243. Eric Johnston and I represent the property owners, the two daughters of the prior owners, who for many, many years were members of this community and operated this motel. As you can might imagine, it took a while for them to get themselves together to figure out how to deal with the property. We understand that the bones and the structure of this property are good, and that's what they will use in rehabilitating the property and bringing up to a different style. I think you all have this rendering. You know, that's nice. It'll look good. The structure that they see now isn't going to be what they see when it's over with. And I just wanted to point that out. And you know, it isn't going to be like the hotel that's just got rearranged inside. The whole exterior will be revised and brought up to a very high standard. And I wanted to express that our clients would be willing to have a rezoning conditional, as the city attorney had indicated, upon it reverting back if the property is not closed to these purchases within a certain period of time. And we'd need to see exactly what works best for them, but you know, give their due diligence, make sure we don't have issues getting the loans closed. You know, give a reasonable period of time. You know, maybe 12 months if that would work. And then if it doesn't close with them by then it reverts back. Our client's willing for that to happen. But they have a very valuable piece of property here that's in a great location. The structure is good. When these guys get through with it, all the issues of plumbing and wiring and ADA and then the way it looks will be dealt with, and it'll be a different facility, totally different facility. It's relatively low density. So we think it's a very good thing for the city, and it, again, is a very valuable asset for our clients, these daughters, who you know, want to see it brought to something that's valuable to the city, and of course, where they can get the value out of something that their parents built. So those are generally our comments. We're very happy to answer any questions you might have. Oh, and let me mention this. There was a question, Councilor Box, that you asked about why not do all the work and then get it zoned. They can't get loans to do that. They can't spend money fixing it up to be an apartment when it's not zoned as an apartment. And you wouldn't permit it either. The city wouldn't permit them to build something that's not in zone. So they have to get it zoned first. But they would move, we would have that provision that if they don't buy that property within a certain period of time, say 12 months, then it reverts back.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anyone else for or in favor of this project that would like to speak from our in-person? I understand we have one person on the virtual side. Anybody in favor of this? Okay, thank you. Chief, would you?
We have one for comment from Paul Francis, 2205 3rd Avenue North, in support of rezoning. If the council turns away this buyer, what is the alternative plan for this property, are you holding out for a better solution, and what is the likelihood that a better solution will surface anytime soon? If there isn't a better solution, is a vacant eyesore property preferable to the rezoning proposal?
So you have a comment for this project, sir?
Yes, I did. I'm Eric Johnson. I spoke to you 2 weeks ago about the demolition order. I just wanted to remind the council that that order expires on the 23rd. And as part of your consideration, that demolition order would need to be rescinded so that we would have an opportunity to go ahead and develop this property. And even if it was not rezoned, we are still making a diligent effort to sell the property. As you can see, I mean, they're talking about $3 million of investment, $1.3 million just to buy it. So it's a valuable property the way it is. We just like the opportunity to finish this or to finish a sale in the future. So please rescind that demolition order so we don't have to follow through with that. Thank you.
Noted. And then, council legal, based on that comment, would we need to reword that ordinance to possibly rescind if it's approved? Or would that have to be a separate action?
It would need to be a separate resolution because it was done by a resolution. That's something that could be done, though, you know, just by voice, and then we can draft it later.
Okay, got it. So we would have, basically, we'd be looking at adding a resolution 42?
Yes.
We haven't already approved the agenda, we're obviously there to go ahead and add that, so.
Councilman Spivey?
Yes.
You could also, you know, continue it as well, you know, for the same 12-month, you know, period, so that it would still stand, but that it would be delayed, the condemnation order, so that you would not have to go back through that same process, but that it would, you know, it would just delay that until, you know, this particular project could be built. And it could run in conjunction with the rezoning, you know, the conditional rezoning.
What is legal's preference?
It's a policy call for y'all. It would be, if you didn't want to start the condemnation over again, then I would, you know, just postpone it and delay it, you know, but if you did not mind starting it over, then you could rescind it.
We do not want to start the process all over again.
Copy.
Do not want to
So,
Thank you for your
just
advice,
so I'm clear,
Please.
this resolution here, if we were to add it, we would, in essence, do what was done at our last council meeting with the property over on, what was it, the Stanley property?
No, that would be different. That we actually started the process over again. This would not be that. We would recommend that the process as it is in place now and the actions that the city council have taken would stand. It's just there would be no, you know, condemnation that would be done until a certain date.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't have that resolution in front of me, so just, can we just reference it loosely, like, and we'll get to the nays here in a moment. But as far as adding a 10th item, basically, R42 resolution to postpone the prior resolution involving the condemnation of property?
I would consider the vote on the rezoning first.
Okay.
And then if the rezoning vote goes forward, you know, on a favorable basis, then I would consider that resolution, because without that resolution, you may choose to still delay if you wanted to allow the sellers to continue to market, but you may also, you know, want to go forward, at which time they would have until Friday to appeal that, which is what the city council's action did by resolution to delay their time for appeal.
Understand. I guess what I'm hung up on, and I apologize, is the agenda's still in a draft status right now. If we turn around and approve this agenda, that's what I'm saying, we might need to go ahead and look at adding an additional resolution prior to approving it.
I understand.
Okay, cool.
I understand.
Right on. So we're speaking the same. All right, cool. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, sir, for pointing that out. Since we have heard from all of the people in for this project, now it is time to hear from the people
In favor.
in favor of this well, we've heard from the people in favor or for this project. Now we need to hear from people that are not in favor of this. So once again, 3-minute time limit. Please give Frank your name and address for the record. All right?
Against.
Against.
I served on the city council and the zoning board for 12 years and heard a lot of these cases. We rejected most apartment complexes because we didn't want them. The police said there was a lot of trouble. This proposal, which I think most everybody in Irondale thinks that property should be commercial, in my opinion, will be detrimental to the city. Don't think that an apartment complex can't turn into Section 8. We had a huge apartment complex in Irondale that did. And then we had drugs, we had shootings, we had all kinds of things. Well, anyway, I don't know why anybody would pay that kind of money in this location. You could get an apartment in Homewood for $800 a month with a pool. You all have a pool? You do? Oh, I didn't know that, okay. If they, rent was reduced, which if you got pushed into a corner, you could attract drug dealers and traffickers. Here the other day, the mayor made a presentation. We're on a major corridor between Atlanta and Texas. This is a major drug trafficking area, and I would hate to see us get into that. This is just not the answer, in my opinion. I know the barbecue people don't want it. I don't know about Harris Auto on the other side, but I wouldn't want an apartment right between them. I just don't understand why there's not a location. And I don't like this idea about the bones being any good. There's probably termites, there's probably mold, there's no telling what. So anyway, let the barbecue guy. Next door neighbor.
Thank you, sir. All right, sir, you have the floor for 3 minutes.
My name is Charles Matsis. I'm the owner of Golden Rule Barbecue and the owner of the property where the Golden Rule sits. Number one, I'm a businessman. I appreciate anyone that wants to do business. However, I'm truly surprised that you folks are even considering this. We've been dealing with the Siesta Motel for years and years and years, and we're still dealing with it. We're the oldest restaurant in the state of Alabama. We're the 16th oldest restaurant in the country, and we're in Irondale. I've had the city of Birmingham begging us to move down the street, which we have looked at. We feel like we have been stepped on by the city. Y'all have let this eyesore build and build and build and build and look disgusting. We pull homeless people out of there on a daily basis, and nobody's done anything. We pay a lot of taxes to the city of Irondale. Our sales are close to $2 million a year, and we've been ignored. And now, y'all want to throw some apartments next door to us. You talk about Grants Mill Road. What about Highway 78 right off I-20? It's appalling to me that this would even be considered. We have had trouble with that place next door, and we continue. We had to tell a homeless man who was urinating on my building last week with his pants to his knees to leave because he was sleeping at the property next door. I don't even call the police anymore because we're used to dealing with it on our own. And I can tell you this, like this gentleman here said, There's no way in hell I'm gonna go pay $1,100 for an apartment with barbecue smoke flying out my chimney and me sitting on the front porch trying to relax in a restaurant next door. Wake up! It's gonna turn into another disaster like it was when the Siesta Motel was neglected. I don't get into politics, never want to get into politics, but that's how I support my family. I'm building a house in Irondale right now off Old Leach Road. I move in June the 1st. I will be a citizen of Irondale. I've paid tax dollars to this city for years and years. My father paid tax dollars here since 1969.
Thank you for your time, sir. Next person to speak against this proposal.
My name is Rebecca Yeager, and I am I live in District 3. And I am excited about the possibility of maybe apartments in Birmingham, in Irondale, but this is not the location. I support multifamily housing. I support having a diversity in our city in socioeconomic class. But this is not the location for that. It is on the side of a major highway, a major sex trafficking and drug trafficking highway, as has been mentioned numerous times this evening. If we bring families into an industrial location on the side of a major highway, what are we doing to mitigate the safety concerns of children running out into the street? What are we doing to mitigate the safety concerns of our already underfunded and overpopulated schools that now have 64 possible new families attending them? What are we doing to mitigate the environmental concerns of a creek that runs throughout our entire city that feeds the Cahaba, which is one of the most biodiverse places outside of the state of California? What are we doing to preserve that when this construction runs into this creek and then it runs into the river? Why are we looking at developing an intersection at Grants Mill and by the Grantswood Community School? Why are we looking at destroying forests when we have a perfectly good industrial complex right here where we could be sending those businesses? I grew up in Irondale. I went to high school here. I was born in this city. And I remember this hotel being an eyesore for the 37 years that I have been alive. I have great grief and sorrow for these daughters who are trying to get rid of this property. I know it must be a burden on them. I have great respect for these gentlemen who are doing work to develop, but this is not the location and this is not the place. Maybe somewhere else in Irondale can house a wonderful apartment complex. Maybe this place, the CDA, can look at the Siesta Motel demolishing this, making it safe for our constituents, and using that to build your restaurants and your major shopping districts. That's not right outside of where my kids go to school, and so now I have to deal with all this traffic from the Taco Bell just to go pick up my kid. Let's keep the industrial parts of Irondale industrial and the residential parts residential, so we are helping our families stay safe and keeping Irondale a beautiful place. It'd also be lovely if it was a little more walkable.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Next person, not for, but against this proposal.
Well, when you hear what I have to say, first of all, David Pugh, I guess I was introduced earlier, District 1, Councilman John London.
That's right.
When you hear what I have to say, you're going to think Ms. Yeager was a setup for me, but and I am in favor of the project. I oppose the rezoning. It is the wrong location. And sincerely, guys, I'm so gratified that you're looking at the city of Irondale. I hope that you go forward with the project, but on another parcel more suited to residential development. And here's what I mean. For the last 8 years on the CDA, I have begged and pleaded and cajoled national retailers to look at Irondale. Other than disposable income, the single most important criterion is traffic count. Retailers who generate sales tax revenue for us so that we can all do more things for the city will not go to any parcel. They say, Pew, take your retailer to another location. They will not if the adequate traffic flow is not there. The stretch of Highway 78 from John Rogers Road to the bridge, our city limit, has a higher traffic count than any other piece of pavement in the city of Irondale but for 459. And we can't build on 459. That's a 5-acre piece of property. As soon as it became available for sale, the CDA jumped on it. We realized the potential value for a retail development there. It's a 5-acre parcel. We made an offer. We began negotiations with the owners. We had a contract all but signed and negotiated for $900,000 purchase price with a provision to rebate the actual cost of environmental remediation up to $400,000. We had a comprehensive environmental assessment done by BESI, an Irondale engineering company, one of the biggest in the Southeast, 17 locations in 10 or 12 different states. And there are substantial asbestos concerns in that building, along with some other environmental problems. We got 3 quotes from environmental remediation contractors, and this is what we used in the negotiation. We said, we want that piece of property. We want to raise those buildings and then market it for retail development. But we cannot pay the price you're asking for, knowing what we're going to have to do to remediate the environmental issues. So with what I know about construction and with a $1.4 million budget, I don't know what you have in there for remediation, but there are some things that will need to be addressed in that building. I'm confident. Y'all know BESI, if you've done any work in this area. So that is an issue. I want their project to go forward in Irondale, but I've got a finite number of spaces where I can do retail development. And if we take 5 acres off the market, it's even harder for them. We can't get them to look at Grants Mill until we get the traffic counts up. Now that we've got the Amazon project coming in and that VA hospital, that for the first time we've seen a spike in calls from national retailers looking at that corridor. And I just want to beg you, please consider before we take those 5 acres off the market for retail development.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Next up, for anyone who would like to speak against this project. Ma'am? You have the floor for 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Donna Pike, and I'm asking you, each of you, to vote no to this project. I've asked myself several questions, and now I'm going to ask you the same. Does this fit into the comprehensive plan that our citizens and businesses have worked so hard on? Does it fit? My answer is no. Will this enhance the gateway to our city on the east side? We've had a lot of discussion over the years about the concern of how the corridor of Highway 78 looks. And ladies and gentlemen, it needs a makeover, but it doesn't need apartments. Will this is the clicker, will this enhance anyone's quality of life? Think about that. On a main highway, next to our oldest restaurant, as far as I know, that I can see, there won't be any quality of life for children that move into those apartments. And let me tell you something, with all due respect, we think a lot of our children here in Irondale. And I don't think, with all due respect, I think anybody from Florida or California can have any idea what our expectations are. We're not a desperate city, we're not a broke city. And if we have to wait, it's called patience and perseverance. If we have to wait for a little longer for the ideal place, for the ideal business to come, move here, build, and enhance our city, not drag it down, then that's what we ought to do. Thank you. I appreciate your time, and I thank you for all you do.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else not for this project that would like to speak at this time? Not for. Going once. Is there, Chief, could you look and see if there's anyone in the hallway that I'm not able to lay eyes on? Okay, we're good in the hallway? Okay. Chief McDaniel, I believe you had some here that you would like to represent.
The first one I have is from Stephen Marino, 3743 Bainbridge Trace Drive. I'm opposed based on inconsistency with other properties on the 78 corridor from Birmingham city limits to Racetrack Road, and it's inconsistent with any plans for development in that area due to asbestos identified when the CDA looked at buying the property, coupled with over 700 code violations identified by city inspectors, makes any form of remodel a questionable approach, especially for the amount quoted. Rezoning is not in the best interest of the city or the business in the area. The next comment is from Laura Kezar, and her address is 923 Ivywood Road. Regarding the rezoning of Siesta Motel on Highway 78 from light industrial to R4, I strongly disagree with this. The building was determined to have over 700 code violations. It is dangerous and should be demolished. It should not be turned into apartments. In addition to the fact that the building is dangerous, there is danger for residents, especially children, on a 4-lane road. This is just not appropriate. New apartments are going in on Old Leeds Road. The CDA already had a plan for demolition, and there are commercial entities interested in this property, which is the most appropriate use for Irondale. Maybe somebody can help me with this. It's Ann, and her last name starts with a B.
Vassiano?
Barfiades.
There you go.
Okay,
Got it.
You got that, Frank. And yes, at 1004 Bramblewood Lane, no to rezoning. I just feel like that area with high exposure would be great developed with a green space, deli, coffee shop, garden shop, etc. Something to draw people here and for us to enjoy. Denise Wright, 2135 5th Terrace South. I'm against rezoning. And I believe Lynn Marino, 3743 Bainbridge Trace. We've had issues with apartment complexes, promises made but not kept, no to rezoning, no relationship to our city, just another out-of-town developer taking a good deal at Irondale's expense. And that's all I have.
So we've concluded our in-person yays and nays. We've concluded our virtual yays and nays. So I would say it's time to leave this public hearing. So we're going to go ahead and close out.
Council President, before you close,
Sure.
do we have a running tally of the opposed and the in favor?
In favor was 1, and the opposed was
11.
You mean just here?
it was 11.
No, from
Yeah.
from everyone that actually was opposed or in, yes.
Oh, okay.
So that's virtual and in person. We had 1 yay and 11 that were not in favor, correct?
You had a couple more.
We had 2 for, I'm sorry, I apologize. Thank you, sir.
I'm unsure whether
2
those
for.
gentlemen are citizens of Irondale, but there were
I
a
understand.
couple more.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I actually
Thanks for the
showed
question.
3, 4. 2 were the attorneys for the Siesta property owners, and then 1 was an Irondale resident. That's what I'm showing on my sheet.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and leave our public hearing now, and we're going to go back to our agenda as pointed out by the attorney and our counsel. We need to, because this is an ordinance that we are going to be considering tonight. Once we approve this agenda, we can't manipulate it. So as far as adding, y'all, April, you look like you needed to say something.
I was just going to ask if you were going to add resolution.
Absolutely.
Dash R dash 42.
Yep. So what we're going to do is, I know we've got a few things that are postponed for administrative purposes. Item number 10 on this draft will be 2021 R42, resolution to postpone the prior resolution involving the condemnation of the Siesta Motel property. Is that fair enough,ly stated?
Yes.
Outstanding. All right. So we've gotten through our public hearing. We've agreed to have some items on consent. That being said, now it is time for any public, well, we need to go ahead and approve the agenda. So would someone like to go ahead and make a motion to approve the agenda with the various amendments?
I would like to approve the agenda with the following amendments. Under new business, item number 3 will be postponed. Item number 4, which will be under consent. Item number 5 under consent. Item number 6 to be postponed. Item number 7 will be under consent. And item number 8 under consent. And with the addition of item number 10, which will be resolution 2021 R-42 to postpone the prior condemnation measure involving the Siesta Motel property.
Councilperson Wilson, we are still going to address item number 9 as well.
We are going to address item number 9. That's correct.
So Councilman Wilson has put the agenda on the floor. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, regarding the consent items, for unanimous purposes, as Council Wilson pointed out, item number 4, item number 5, item number 7, and item number 8 being on consent. So for a roll call standpoint, Councilman London?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay. Now, at this time, since we have an approved agenda, we would take questions in the public hearing on the rezoning is closed at this time. With that being said, we would take any public comments for agenda items only. Any comments for other agenda items only?
We did close the public hearing.
We did.
Okay.
Chief McDaniel, any comments on any just agenda items?
I do not see any. I thought somebody had one, but I have not received it.
Okay, fair enough. Since we do not have any public comments on agenda items only, we will move into item number 1, which is the new business, ordinance 2021-07, that would rezone the property located at 2510 Crestwood Boulevard, Irondale, Alabama, 35210, from an I-1 light industrial to an R4 multifamily district. If someone could take us through the process.
Actually, I have a comment on this before we actually vote on it, if you don't mind. You know, we have been talking about this property forever. You know, I've been here 14 years myself, so And this property has been in this condition for, I would say, for several years. And my condolences really go to the family because during prior years, I have visited the owner, and which was a very, very good man. But I say that to say, I hear all these comments now, but there have not been any solutions to this particular piece of property in the previous years, and now I'm only hearing, the problems. So what are we gonna do? What is the other option? And I'm asking myself this question. What is the other option that we have that's on the table right now that we're gonna do with this particular piece of property if we don't rezone it and we have people that's interested here at this time? So that's just a comment. It's not to ask anybody any questions or whatever the case may be, but I just want to put that out there. Thank you.
Mr. President, I also have a comment. And, I just been on council a few years, and we had the same similar deal with the Ryan Garden property. That was an eyesore, and you can ask the police chief. Almost 300 calls a month. Drugs. Yep. All kinds of stuff was going on over there, and some citizens got together and come together and decided what was going to be best for that property and what's going to be best. And the thing is, you cannot vote for it and leave it like it is. And the barbecue man will still run vagrants away from every day. And that's going to happen until something happens to the property, or you can do something with it because the CDA don't have a solution. For many, many years, Irondale haven't had a solution for it. And now we got someone to come here that's going to spend their own money, not going to cost the city of anything, to upgrade the property where, it may not be a place for an apartment. Maybe that's not it. But either you do something with it or you leave it like it is. I mean, that's the choice you have on the table now. And all the comments that was made, no one had a solution. They said, this shouldn't happen, shouldn't happen. But I'm the kind of guy that if I'm gonna make a comment, what's the solution? Always bring a solution to the table, you make a comment. So if it doesn't pass, and that's the council right, if it doesn't pass, then the Siesta Motel is gonna be the Siesta Motel, and the barbecue man and people there is gonna look the same coming in, and I promise you, you talking about that's the quarter of Irondale? If they come in and continue to see the Siesta Motel there, then no one's coming. But if they come there and see Irondale is trying to do something with the property, then the conversation will begin. And that's why you haven't got to develop.
This is obviously a
That's just my comment. No, that's just my
historic vote. Obviously, this is a property that's been going for quite some time in its current state. So we've had two comments.
I have
So,
one, please.
and then Councilwoman Cuellar, I can see you looking at me. So Councilman Box, please keep it brief, though.
I really like Councilman London and Councilman Wilson's thoughts. It causes us to question ourselves, which is always good that we always think, but we've heard our citizens' opinions. We're here to serve our citizens. It's not quite the complete fact because, and Councilman London, I would have to defer to your experience, but I'd like to definitely hear from April. Supposedly, we still have the abatement order on the table.
Correct.
So it doesn't have to stay like it is. We can move forward with the abatement order. We don't have to extend it. We don't have to make it tear down in 2 days. But we can move forward and finally do something which our citizens have actually expressed they wanted done. So that's my understanding, and if I'm wrong, you two senior guys, please correct me, or April correct me, but that's my understanding, that at this point in time, the abatement order is still on the table, the abatement order is still in force, so if we don't do the zoning and don't do the rezoning, which would present a good solution, as you're saying, Councilman London, but if we don't do the rezoning, then the Siesta Motel doesn't just get to sit there and not have anything happen unless we extend this resolution to delay the abatement order of it. And what I've heard from the citizens, and there again, I could be wrong, But what I've heard from the citizens, their desire is that the Siesta Motel go away. And so that's my comment.
Well, we have over 14,000 citizens in the city of Irondale, in all due respect. All due respect.
Yeah.
So we haven't heard from all the citizens. So
I agree, Councilman Wilson, but we did hear from the ones that were concerned enough to come tonight or concerned enough to actually log in and speak to us about it. So,
Councilwoman Cuellar?
once again, it has been going on for years and years, and for years and years, we have talked about something needs to be done. That's why it was brought to us 2 months ago.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes, first, to respond to Councilman Wilson, there have been more than what's present here tonight to voice opposition. My phone has been ringing off the hook since Monday. So many citizens have expressed opposition to this. Number two, Councilman London said that we don't have solutions. There have been solutions. Chairman Pugh gave you one of the solutions. There were other interested parties in this property, and the owners of the property chose not to sell the property because we've been receiving complaint after complaint, including the gentleman from the Golden Rule that's not here. Our police department has been swamped with calls, and the solution was, if you're not taking the action to try to work with the city, then it needs to be demolished. And that's the solution that this council passed on March 17th. So there have been many opportunities, ladies and gentlemen, but they have not chosen to work and sell this property.
Thank you, ma'am. So I
And
believe that we all have
that was
a...
my comment, Mr. President. There have been solutions, but nothing has been done
Okay, so
until now.
So now we find ourselves at a time to go ahead and vote our conscience.
Right.
And put this,
Can I speak to we have an opportunity to speak to the resolution on the abatement before it's voted?
I'm curious
No.
to see what you have to say about
On the
it.
abatement issue, yes.
Since your verbiage is actually what got it added to the agenda, I'm curious to see what you might actually have to say around it, so please. Like,
Now,
for the-
time, I'm
yes.
sorry to interrupt, but I didn't understand the procedure, and then I got worried that we might not be able to.
Okay.
And I don't know what's gonna happen on the zoning. Obviously, I represent the person owners. They've done everything they could to try to make something happen, and they want it to be zoned. But I'm speaking to the abatement. Just this contract itself shows that there is value in that building, significant value. And so if you don't rezone, we hope you will rezone it. But if you don't rezone it, please at least give them an opportunity to take another path. Because they've tried to market it, period, and nobody's come to buy it for retail. David, my good friend, by the way, David, they hadn't brought a buyer. City made an offer of what, 900, less 450 that they would have to pay to abate and you compare that to $1.3 million, which they have on the table right now. That doesn't seem like a fair deal. So if you're not going to zone it, please at least extend this thing to give them an opportunity. And we'll work with David. We'll work with anybody y'all can bring. If you want to bring retail in there, hallelujah, bring it. But if you don't zone it, and we hope you will, please at least extend this abatement so we don't get into a big, brouhaha over there.
I appreciate your comments on that and your clarification, Father Spirit. Are we at a point where we're ready to move forward and vote on this particular item?
Yes.
Seeing heads nodding?
Yes, we need to.
Outstanding.
We need to just go
Perfect.
ahead and.
All right,
We
so
beat the
that
horse
being
enough.
said,
Yeah.
can someone take us through the process for ordinance 2021-07?
What do you mean process? You need a motion?
Since it's an ordinance?
Yeah. I make a motion that ordinance 2021-07 be approved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
We have one nay thus far.
Can we do a roll call?
We're about to. Councilwoman Cuellar looks like she's contemplating.
So we're not going through the meeting procedure for ordinances.
That's what he's doing. He's taking us through the
That it be
three-step process.
considered read?
Considered it read, correct?
Yeah. I make a motion that the reading of the minutes of I'm sorry. I make a motion that ordinance number, give me a minute. Sorry, guys. What,
07.
yeah, ordinance number 2021-07. Be considered read.
Okay, so we have a motion.
I apologize.
Okay. So we have a motion for it to be considered read. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was all 5 of us, correct?
Yes.
Okay, outstanding. Moving on to the second piece of this process.
There you go. All right, I make a motion that all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration and adoption of ordinance number 2021-07 be suspended, and that the unanimous consent be given for the immediate consideration of said ordinance.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Roll call. Councilman London?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
No.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Mayor?
Since Councilman Box voted no,
Yes.
then that means that you can't complete the vote on the ordinance.
Right.
And if you can't complete the vote on the ordinance, does that affect the resolution that you want to have
Yeah.
to extend?
The resolution would have to be voted on as a separate piece of business.
It could also be continued as well until the next, this would be the first reading of the ordinance.
Correct.
And it would be read a second time at your next meeting.
Yeah,
And you could
because he
also
voted no.
continue the resolution to your next meeting as well.
And then to clarify the process, at that time, since it has officially been read at this first meeting, the next vote would be a majority rules, correct? For
That
the
is
up or down?
correct. That is
Okay, so your suggestion is to take that 10th item basically and to go ahead and postpone that, essentially.
Is it possible to change the vote if I didn't quite understand where we were at in the process?
I would
You
defer
you
to
can
legal
vote
on-
yes for you all could just go ahead and vote it up and down tonight and be through with it, instead of it having to come back as an unfinished item.
Ken Box chose, can he change his vote and amend it because of the process?
If he chooses to change his vote, he can certainly change his vote.
Councilman Box, do you choose to
I will
change your
choose
vote?
to change my vote to yes.
Okay, understood. He was the only no in that roll call. I myself was a yes. Councilman Wilson was a yes on that roll call. So if you would like to go ahead and take us through the final step of that process, sir.
I make a motion that ordinance number 2021-07 be finally passed and adopted as introduced.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second.
Did you want to make that conditional rezoning?
Yes, yes.
What would
Make
be
sure
the
we make it
time
conditional
period?
based on if it reverts.
And what would be the time period that you would want?
Um,
Would you
that's
want
a
that
coun-
to be a year?
Yeah, that's the council's decision, 12 months, that'll be fine.
So that would be a conditional rezoning conditioned upon the closing of the property by the applicant for the rezoning within a 12-month window.
That's right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
We have a clarification on the contingent rezoning.
Contingent upon.
Councilman Wilson put it on the floor. He agrees with the terminology. Councilman London, you did second that. Do you agree with the language that council's given us?
One question, does it have to be 12 months? Is it going to take them 12 months to get the financing? Yes.
We don't think so.
It can be 6.
We don't think so. We don't think 12 months. We think it'll be much sooner than 12 months, but what we don't want to do is go through all of this and have to come back if we hit something unforeseen. So it's really just giving us a deadline that's so far out that we know that we'll be able to.
Okay, I'm good with it.
You're content with your second on that?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
All right, so we have a motion and a second for the final approval process of this ordinance. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
No.
No.
Myself, no as well. Item number 2. Someone could take us through the process for ordinance 2021-08.
I make a motion
Council
that
President, I'm sorry, can you announce if it was adopted or failed?
That failed. Yes, sir. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay.
I make
Item number
a-
2.
Yes, I make a motion that ordinance number 2021-08 be considered read.
We have a motion?
Second.
Second, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, sir.
I make a motion that all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration and adoption of ordinance number 2021-08 be suspended, and that unanimous consent be given for the immediate consideration of said ordinance.
Second.
Roll call, Councilman London?
Yes.
Councilwoman Quayle?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
I make a motion that ordinance number 2021-08 be finally passed and adopted as introduced.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed? Thank you. All right, we postponed item 3. 4 was on consent, 5 was on consent. We voted to postpone item 6. Item number 7 was on consent. Item number 8 was on consent. So we find ourselves at item number 9, Resolution 2021 R41 appoints a city clerk treasurer for the city of Irondale. Can someone introduce that resolution with a nomination?
Yes.
Yes, I make a motion that resolution 2021-R-41 appoints Lou Jackson as the city clerk treasurer for the city of Irondale.
Second.
Second. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
And for the record, I don't know if we need to say her full name, which I don't have at this moment. I know we said Lou for short, but it's not Lou
Ludalia.
Jack.
Ludalia.
Lou Delia.
Yes.
Okay, Lou Delia Jackson.
Thank
just
you.
for the record.
And I'm overwhelmingly grateful that we're all on the same accord on that. And Frank, congratulations, your term will be over shortly. All right, and then finally, we find ourselves at item number 10, which was directly tied to that first ordinance, but it is still a separate piece of business. So can someone introduce item number 10, 2021 R42? This would basically, once again, this would postpone the prior resolution involving the condemnation. We've already addressed the zoning. Now we're addressing possibly postponing the condemnation. So approval of this resolution would approve postponing the condemnation. Yes, ma'am?
It would be the abatement and condemnation.
Abatement and condemnation.
And if you would also set a time for that, as to when you would want to postpone it to.
We've used the feedback on the postponing. If we postpone it now, how comfortable are we with the time frame? I'm open to suggestions.
Yeah, we did 30 days with the prior one, and I
Have
think.
set a precedent for 30 days.
Yes.
Councilman London?
Well, CDA think they're going to be able to do something with this property. I say give them 12 months. I don't think they have time. 30 days is not a good enough time. If you think with some commercial properties going to be in this place, and they think they got some ideals for it, then let's give them 12 months. Let it sit there 12 months and let folks see it again as they drive by.
I respectfully disagree with that. This property has been on the market for a while now. We've had several issues with this property. This is why our building inspector and our abatement board got involved, and so this is why I'm saying 30 days, making this recommendation for 30 days.
Councilman Box, your opinion?
I would defer to legal about the possibility of the timing of filing a suit against us if we extend the time of the abatement past the original resolution, or the toll time.
What you could do is you could revisit it every 30 days, such that if the sellers were to bring information back to you concerning their, what they have done within that 30-day window, if you did extend the abatement, then you would also need to extend their statute to be able to file suit, which is what you did the first time, to allow them until Friday to actually file an appeal to the city council's ruling that the structures on that property should be abated. So I would also recommend that you do that as well, because if you don't, they would need to file suit to appeal by Friday to preserve their right to appeal if they disagreed with what y'all had determined to be appropriate, which is that their structures be torn down.
Can you boil that down for me a little bit, April? I apologize.
I'm sorry.
So you're recommending to put it on a 30-day delay and then revisit every 30 days?
Every 30.
That's an option,
Okay.
but if you did that, you would also need to toll the statute further, as in what you did, for an additional 30-day window every time.
I think we got a comment from, I think we have a comment.
Sir?
Thank you. I would just like to say we sure prefer not to be in a position where we have to file a lawsuit by Friday. We would rather spend time working with this city, working with David, and make something good happen there. It puts them in a position where they have to file a lawsuit, and they don't want to have to do that. Much time as you can give us that's reasonable to really work something out, wonderful. If it's every 30 days, we just have to come back every 30 days and do this. But we want a real opportunity to see what can be done, because they want to sell the property. They're motivated to sell the property. They have to ball themselves up in a lawsuit. They don't want to do that. So if you would give us the time to hold that lawsuit deadline, that will help us move down the road possibly.
What I believe you're saying is we would need to add the language of the toll for time for 30 days into that resolution, correct?
That would be correct, yes.
So the resolution speaks to the toll for time. So Councilman London has suggested 12 months. Am I hearing you correctly, Councilman?
That's correct.
And then Councilman Box, you suggested?
Councilman Quaylar suggested 30 days.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, sorry about that, Councilwoman Cuellar. Councilman Box, what is your feedback on this?
I've heard my citizens in my district and many other citizens say they're tired of the Siesta Motel being there. I think we need to move forward with the abatement as it stands. But that's just my opinion.
Councilman Wilson.
Whatever the majority
We don't have
is.
to,
Right now we do.
We're trying to get along.
Well, if, like I said, if this motion fails, if this
Yeah,
resolution
yeah.
fails, this toll for time fails, then that means we have a green light at any time this city feels financially able
Right.
and ready to tear this building, this
There you
structure
go.
down.
Yeah.
There you go.
After
Right.
Friday.
Sorry?
After
After
Friday.
Friday.
After
Yeah.
Sorry.
Friday. Yeah, there you
Also
go.
means we have to file a lawsuit.
I understand.
That's
I understand that.
That's right.
So if this resolution fails, but we just have to agree on what the resolution is saying in regards to the toll for time. We have to get the language right in a way in which we agree with it. So I need a consensus on a time frame for a toll for time.
Okay.
That's what I'm asking for.
3 or 6 months, I guess. I mean, it gives them time to, I mean, I don't know.
Box is saying no toll for time. Cuellar sending,
She said no.
She said
Well-
30 days.
I did. I said 30 days, but I have heard from several citizens, and we've been dealing with this for a long time now. And there have been solutions, but the owners of the property have not been willing to work with those solutions.
what is your
So
suggestion as far as the toll time?
I'm in agreement with Councilman Box. I
Okay.
think we need to stand with what we passed on the abatement.
Are you still standing on 12 months?
Yeah,
No,
'cause
I'm with Councilman Box.
I'm a little confused because we had an opportunity to do something with the property tonight, and now we're talking about tearing it down when we had an opportunity to do something with it tonight. So I'm confused. I'm really confused about.
So the
We're trying to tear it down in
In
30
layman's
days.
terms,
When we
we
had
had
opportunity tonight
solutions,
to do something with the property.
and what's been presented
talk
here
about
is R4.
Let's not talk over.
Can I finish? Can I finish my?
Please
my thought?
finish your thoughts.
Thank you. I'm confused again, because we had an opportunity tonight to do something with the property, and now we're trying to tear it down in 30 days.
Can I address that with you when you have a chance, Councilman?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, because I keep hearing the same thing. My constituents, it's been an eyesore it's been an eyesore to me too. I mean, my family and people that drives into Irondale, it has been an eyesore. But tonight, we've had an opportunity to do something with the property so it won't be an eyesore anymore. And we just voted it down. And that's my comment. So y'all do, I say 12 months.
Mayor?
To give the CDA an opportunity to bring something commercial, if that's what they want to do, commercial, because, that's what David said, our CDA. I want to give them an opportunity. I want to give them an opportunity.
Hold on.
In 30 days, they
Councilman
can't get
Wilson,
it
hold
done.
on.
They can't get it done in 30 days.
Mayor?
I just wanted to say that if you all do not adopt anything, they're going to appeal it, which means we're going to be stuck in court. So you're not going to be tearing down anything other than running up our legal bill.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you if you would consider postponing it tonight and we can talk about it in the executive session. Because it could end up being pending litigation, which would qualify for the executive session.
He already said.
I can go with that.
All right, so
So I
is
would,
the 30-day is toll for time, is that acceptable, legal?
you could also do it until the next, city council meeting, and that would give you time to think about it, if you didn't want to do 30 days.
Okay. So, got to go into executive session anyways. We can continue to talk about this. So, we know that we've got potential pending litigation. We know that they're going to appeal it. It's going to continue to wrap the property up, okay? So even if we do, this motion fails, we're still not going to be able to take any action on the property because of the potential appeal, okay? So, that being said, I think we can readdress this within a 30-day span. It doesn't hold us to 30 days. We could readdress it in 2 weeks, correct?
No.
No, if we-
You'd
if
have
we
to
do
be
30 days, you have to
specific.
give them 30 days.
You do
would
30,
need
you
to
have to.
give
Okay,
them
fair enough,
30.
sorry. It's 8:30 at night, so I'm getting a little hungry. All right, so that being said, so can we agree to readdress this in 30 days? Is that to toll for time for 30 days?
Sure,
Yes.
I can go with that.
Lenny, you still have some discomfort on that?
Well, you have 3, 4. I mean, you don't need me for this.
Well, we can still, once we get to that 30-day mark, we can still toll for time beyond that.
That's correct. That would just be when you revisit it.
Understood. You see what I'm saying, Council London?
I'm gonna abstain from it.
Fair enough? All right, so we have readdressed item number 10, 2021 R42, which is a resolution for toll of time of the previous resolution involving the abatement and condemnation of the Siesta Motel property for 30 days. That is the resolution that's on the table. I've introduced it. Can we get a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Councilman London, we'll just roll call it.
I'm abstaining.
You're going to abstain from this? Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Yes. Councilman Box?
Yes.
Yes. Councilman Wilson?
I'm abstaining as well.
You're going to abstain on that as well? And then myself, I'm going to say yes to the toll for time for 30 days. Okay? We will address it in 30 days. All right. Now that we've moved through all of our agenda items, we find ourselves at a position to accept public comments to the council on non-agenda items. Non-agenda items. We have no comments from the in-person crowd on non-agenda items. We have no comments from that area either. That being said, members of the city council, the city needs to convene an executive session to discuss with our attorneys the legal ramifications of legal options for controversies currently being litigated.
Pike.
Sorry?
Pike, you had a question.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Well, I haven't gotten through the paragraph, so I'll give you some grace. On non-agenda items.
I would like to know when the council and the mayor, everybody's gonna get it together and start paving. Some of our roads are in trouble shape, and I haven't heard anything about, when that's gonna start, or if it's gonna start.
We're working with the engineers right now. 2017, the city adopted a pavement management study So at the present time, Frank and myself are meeting with Sane engineers to determine with the amount of money that we have allocated for the roads pavement project, what we're going to be able to fit into that process. We should be coming public with it within the next, give us 30 days.
How much money have we
30.
allocated?
I'm sorry, I'm hard of hearing. What did you
No, I was saying if you would give us about 30 days to work through it, we should be able to have an announcement and to be able to identify what we're going to pave, what we're going to overlay, and what we're going to crack seal for the upcoming fiscal year.
And one more question, and concern. Of course, everybody knows that our community was hit very hard with tornadoes. And we had houses crushed, trees down, diameters of trees that were at least 5 to 6 feet. And some of our houses are in Birmingham. I have contacted Birmingham because I don't think that it's right that Irondale has to come out to our community and do everything that needs to be done when part of that is Birmingham's responsibility. So, my question to you, Mayor, is could you talk to Mayor Wood? Could you, I've called Hunter Williams. I have called India Bailey.
Okay.
I have called Sybil, and so.
Yes, Ms. Pike, I can.
I don't carry enough weight, but you do.
Yes, I do. I can reach out to them. I have relationships with a bunch of people down at the city of Birmingham. Frank and I have already had the discussion about, how we're going to be able to deal with this process. So we have something in place to get with them to make sure that their debris is moved just as well as our debris is moved. We look at it, the whole community as being Irondale, so we don't separate it between the two. So if we have to do it and then turn around and get reimbursements for all of that, that's what we will do if that's the final thing that we have to do. But right now, we in discussions with them trying to work that out so we don't have to do that.
And
In other words, they will send their equipment and they will clean up the houses that pay taxes to Birmingham.
Well, if it's in the right of way, if it's in the right of way or blocking, I don't think they can go on personal property and cut trees off houses, just like we can't do that here in Irondale.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm talking about trees that, have been cut up, or furniture, or garbage that sits out there for months, that's on the right of way of Birmingham.
Okay, well, we won't do that, but we'll do the part for the storm. No, I will, I'm committed, like I just said a few minutes ago. I'll have a relationship with the mayor there, so I'll just reach out to him and see what we can, see what we can do. So it's not a problem.
Because I'm not even sure that they realize that some of that community, and Sunset Boulevard, which is west of Birmingham, is absolutely, and I'm not exaggerating, it's absolutely disintegrating.
Okay. Well, we're trying to improve our relationships with Birmingham and any other bordering city that when stuff like that happen, that's why it's good to have relationships with the mayor. So we'll work it out. We'll try our best to be able to work it out. We'll keep you abreast on what's going on.
Well, I appreciate that.
I just want to piggyback on what you said, Mayor, in regard to the pavement of the roads. How much money do we have budgeted to do that this year? As you mentioned, you're getting together with Frank and y'all are working on that. How much money are we expending for that?
Well, Frank and Mayor Stewart can't do anything. What Frank and Mayor Stewart is doing is working with the engineer to determine the roads and to determine the money that will fit those roads, and then we'll bring it to you all to approve it. Okay. So Frank and Mayor Stewart hadn't determined an amount. That's left up to the council to determine the amount, but we'll make a presentation to you what we are recommending for that amount to be.
As long as District 5 is in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me just say this.
Don't we still have an executive session? We're a little bit past our 2 minutes.
With all due respect, this sounds like Ms.
No,
Pike.
we have an answer.
I think we're well past our 2 minutes.
We have an answer. There's just not, has been a desire to be here. It wasn't a desire in this office where I sit right now to get it done, but the study's been ready since 2017. So I'm going to bring the study with a recommendation on what I expect that we can do, but it's left up to the 5 to determine if they want to go with the recommendation.
Thank you both for your time and positions on that. Thank you.
We'll pass. Do we need a motion to go
We
into
need
the
a mo-
executive session?
We do need a
We-
motion,
we
but I need to
moved
read
well
my
past our
paragraph real
public
quick.
comments, time for the 2 minutes, right?
Yeah,
I'll make a
exactly.
motion, we go into
Hold on a second,
executive
it's gotta be fully read. I'll
Okay,
be
thank
asking
you.
for it. So members of the city council, the city needs to convene an executive session to discuss with our attorneys the legal ramifications of and legal options for controversies currently being litigated. Ms. Danielson has provided the city council with a written statement that executive session is appropriate under Alabama Code 36-25A-7A3 and A7 to discuss pending litigation. I need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion, we go into executive session, post
Councilman
haste.
Box has made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman London, second.
Everybody has made a second. I saw Councilman London's hand. We'll now conclude a roll call vote of this motion and record each council member's vote. Councilman London?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
I'm here.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilman Spivey, myself, those present are advised that this body has voted to enter into executive session as requested by law. Any deliberation between the members of this body related to the issues conducted in an open meeting. The council will now reconvene after the executive session. The city council will now enter executive session. Thank you.
Please, God.